podcast. My name is Ryan. With me, as always, is Alan. And how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Good. Thanks for joining me, as always. And if real quick, you can find all of our episodes at columbuscomicscorner.podbean.com and on iTunes as well, where you can also subscribe, rate, and review us. We greatly appreciate it. And I forgot to mention this is episode 27. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Comics Corner Pod, and we also have a website, which is columbuscomicscorner.tumblr.com. You can find our X-Men Monday reviews and other random reviews as well on there, and the podcast, of course. And we also are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network, so we greatly appreciate all their support over there. And also, we are a spoilers podcast, so once we do get into the books, if you have not read what's in the show notes, hit pause, come back, or if you just want to hear our thoughts before you go out and buy the books, because we're talking about 7 of them this episode.
Oh.
Back to the old days of when we first started up the podcast network.
Yes.
And also, real quick, I do want to mention Retcon X, who you've heard his music as you open the show and close out the show. He is dropping a new album on January 19th. He was kind enough to send it to us. I sent it over to Alan as well, so he can get a clip of it. So yeah, it's got our full support. I won't speak for Alan, but it's got my full support. I thought it was amazing.
I thought it was extraordinary.
Very extraordinary. So next week, we're gonna, kind of keep plugging it because, good friend of ours and awesome musician. So yeah, next week we'll play a little clip for you so you can kind of get jive for it and kind of go from there. But yeah, January 19th, Volume 2 of the Retcon X. Can't wait for Volume 3 as well. Yeah, he really outdid himself with Volume 2. I gotta say, it's fire.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and get into some news, though. This first piece, or both of these, I should say, are pulled from Newsarama. And the first one is Cable and Hope reunited with a new creative team to boot in March. Marvel Comics' Cable series is reloading, just like the Mutants' famous guns, with an old friend and some new faces. It should say daughter and some new faces, maybe, but...
Yeah.
March's Cable 155 will bring Hope Summers back into contact with her surrogate father, while also introducing the new creative team of writers Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler and artist Jermaine Peralta. Picking up for where Ed Brisson and John Milan's Newer Mutants arc, the new arc titled Past Fears will deal with an even older piece of Cable's legacy, the techno-organic virus.
Oh
boy, indeed. Which he was infected with as a child, as a lot of us know, and a new foe, which carries it as well. Who could this new foe be? We will definitely find out. Newsarama did speak with Thompson, Nadler, and Peralta about the reunion, the new villain in the story, and how they all grew up on X-Men Comics. If you want to hear more about that, go to newsarama.com. You can find the review there, or the interview there. But yeah, maybe they're listening to us. Maybe
we're getting hope. Yeah, I feel listening to us.
Because testing the waters, maybe for Hope, maybe having a prominent role. And it's really cool because I posted a couple weeks ago. I was like, with how badass she is, she needs to be running her own team as X-Force. And a lot of people, liked it, shared it, commented on it. It was actually cool to see that, it's just not us who. It's nice knowing that we're not the only ones who are like, hey, where is Hope? We need more Hope. Stat, please. What are some of your thoughts on this?
Just what you said. Since we saw the reemergence of Hope and Jean Grey, we've been like, let's do something with her. Let's put her in a book. Let's team her up with some people. Let's give her a team. Let's do anything with Hope. And like you said, now we're getting it. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Right, and a completely creative team as well. Change up, which is very interesting. I'm wondering, because it would be kind of cool if this is like the approach they might take as far as like each arc will have a whole new creative team. I would much prefer that. I mean, we'll get to some of the art later. I would much prefer that because the art quality I feel dips when you have to have a continuing rotating cast of artists and whatnot on it. So yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, maybe test it out with Cable, see how it goes, and also at the same time, this also could mean they're trying something new to get some to get some eyes on the book, maybe get sales up. I wouldn't be surprised if it is canceled after this, though.
we got to be kind of positive, all right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong, but just in the past, it's like the publisher will try that new creative team, and if that doesn't work out, that's usually like, yep, time to pull the plug.
Yep, get rid of it.
But I hope that's not the case. And it also made me think. I wonder if we saw. Remember when we saw Cable's arm in the last Jean Grey issue?
Yes.
I wonder if that was a clue at all.
It was like hint,
hint.
hint.
But yeah, you got anything else on that, really?
No, just can't wait to see what happens. Can't wait to see how the techno-organic virus is going to play into this.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do want to see some kind of new story at some point. I mean, I understand we're still in Legacy, but let's get past these Legacy arcs. Let's try something else. That's all. I'm not familiar with Zach Thompson. I know Jermaine Peralta as an artist, not personally, but just through Doctor Strange and some other stuff he's done. And it's looked really good, so I'm excited for the art team at least. I'm not familiar with Zach, so I'll have to do a little bit of research into him and see what else he's done. But you got anything else on that?
No.
Cool. Well, with this next piece, we kind of saw coming. We talked about for a while. Jean Grey title ends in January.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the Jean title is ending with January's number 11, as confirmed in the back matter, and this week's 10, obviously, as well. Back in October, series writer Dennis Hopus told Newsarama about a big moment coming for the series, and yeah, that we saw it this time, or this week, I should say.
Oh yeah, wait till you get to that.
And a quick quote: he says, "Jean's worst nightmares are coming. Ghost Jean went from whispering in her ear to screaming in her face, but the message is clear. The Phoenix is cresting the hill," Brisson said. Brisson, that's an error on their part. Time is running short. Put them up or burn them up. That's funny. Oh, Newsarama. And we thought our site was amateur. Ew. And they go on to say, while we won't spoil the content of this week's penultimate Jean Grey number 10, this cancellation comes as the adult Jean Grey returns in Phoenix Resurrection with a plan to lead a new X-Men team in February's X-Men Red. So yeah, we kind of had a feeling, as we got more into the series, we're like, yeah, the Phoenix Force is coming. Something's going to change. Something big has to happen if you're going to involve the Phoenix Force. And yeah, I'm torn. I am torn. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's a nice. The whole series essentially really has been a bridge to bring back the old Jean and put her on a new team. Because she is the leader now. I mean, all of her training, and we'll kind of get into it when we talk about Jean Grey. What were some of your overall thoughts, though?
Like you said, this is something we kind of figured was coming. Actually, around this, this is kind of where I thought it was going to happen. I remember originally I said this is probably going to be 12 issues, and that's probably going to be the end of the series. I have to say, though, it has been a fun ride. They've done a really good job with the series up until this point. So to end it this way, it's sad to see it go, but at the same time, since it's not really a surprise, I can't necessarily be mad. I wanted them to get in, tell the story they want to tell, and then hop out.
Exactly.
I would rather them tell a really good story, even if it's one, than them try to keep it going. And the series started getting worse and worse and worse, and then we're like, "Oh, remember the good old days when Jean Grey first started? They should have stopped it at 11 or whatever."
Her and Hope teamed up for a couple times, and
yeah. So I'm as sad as this is some sad news. At the same time, I'm not, upset about it, and I would rather them complete the story and move on. I mean, there's other series, X books, that are going on that should have just stopped at like issue number 6, that book,
or 2,
or 1 or 2. Well, I'm saying by issue number 6, that book had already told the story they need to tell.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll be talking more, obviously, about Jean Grey this week because number 10 did come out. Yeah, that's all the news that we that dropped, at least by the time we're recording this. Maybe something will drop Monday morning. If it's big enough, maybe we'll come back and do an emergency X-Cast for you. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into some books, though. And what are we talking about first, Danger?
Secret Warriors number 9, written by Matthew Rosenberg with art from Javier Guerin, Will Robson, and Israel Silva with letterer Clayton Cowles.
Sinister has put his plan into motion by framing our Secret Warriors for 3 separate bombings. Karnak makes his own move and acquires Ahura's company by being the employee of the week and wiping the slate clean. When you need your best friend, who's a dinosaur, picked up in a different time zone, call the Magic Lift Service. When Karnak's son tells Inferno where to find some Terrigen shards inside the Inhuman throne, Inferno is fed up with the waiting game and plans to make a deal with the devil.
Well, I think that's a pretty good bamf of what happened in this issue. I just want to get this out right now. The most awesome part is the artist rendering of the Secret Warriors.
Oh, yes. That was in the news.
That was my personal favorite part of the book.
No, that had her cracking up as well. I mean, the humor alone in this issue, I grinned the whole time reading this because there were so many good quips that stuck. But yeah, what were some of your overall thoughts, though?
Pretty interesting. It is interesting. I was wondering at the end of the last issue how many of the kids were turning the bombs, and we find out that at least 3 of them went off.
Right.
Also found out, I don't know why it continues to surprise me when we find out how much of a douche Karnak is. Like,
I was kind of rooting for him in the end. By the end of this, I was like, "Damn, good job, man."
In the end, I kind of was, but when you first start, I think it's the way he talks. I think it's his just the way they do his dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so I don't care. It's so like, yeah, what I did was wrong, but it doesn't make a difference because I'm Karnak.
And that's good writing when you can distinguish a character's dialogue and get his sort of emotion and how his mannerisms through the dialogue and some of the art as well, obviously. But yeah, kudos for that right there.
Yeah, his little speech about saving the company was the bravo, because that probably made me laugh the most in the book was the little speech. And they're like, "Well, I thought you were saving the company. Why am I getting arrested?" And he's like, "Well, a company is really just money. Like, one person isn't really a company."
Yeah, and I've been saving your company for however long now. Mm-hmm. You're pointless at this point. And I mean, now we do know Sinister's plan, because he wants to get one over on trying to get in the stronghold over Karnak for him to help him. And now we understand why Karnak was being such a douche to Ahura. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Why he was being such a douche to Ahura this whole time, because he was just setting him up to get arrested. That way he can put his plan into motion. And we still don't know what his plan is just yet, but at least we now know, hey, it's the start of it at least. But Rob, what were some of your overall thoughts?
I thought it was pretty cool. I think we really hit the nail on the head. I think one of the stronger points of this issue is that Matthew Rosenberg writes really good dialogue. I still think that there's some minimal room for improvement, which I guess we'll get to, but the dialogue was not a problem at all. The dialogue was spot on.
Mm-hmm.
The quips were funny. Moon Girl's amazing. Karnak is amazing.
Especially slapped somebody. Can we just address that he slapped somebody in this issue?
That was great. That was great.
That we had some sexy times with some of the characters towards the end, which was unforeseen.
Unexpected.
But yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I want to give props to Matthew Rosenberg. I actually tweeted him at this. At the beginning of the issue in the credits page, he put a Pig Destroyer lyric in the book, and that means so much to me as a Pig Destroyer fan. I was like, that's fucking awesome. I would love to hopefully meet him one day and just talk music, because me and him are on like the same wavelength as far as like old punk bands, and this Pig Destroyer is like a metal band. So yeah, kudos right there, and it kind of helps elevate the book knowing that he's like one of us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that really
For sure.
down to earth kind of dude. But yeah, that was awesome. I will say this was the one issue where I kind of felt out of place at moments, not being familiar with the series. There were some things and some characters that I wasn't familiar with, and at that point I was like, man, I hope they do say the character's name, because I have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
Right. And some of the stuff that was going on between Inferno and some of the other Inhumans.
Are you talking about the fact that he left old dude?
Yeah, he left.
What his name was, like, you left us. I'm like, wait, when did that happen? Oh, it happened in issue number 2, which I did not read.
Editor's note. And then like when they got to New Atelian, there was like some the older Inhumans who had been staying there were kind of mean mugging and talking about them behind their back. I figured it was because of magic was there, but maybe there's something more than that. You know, coming off of Inhumans versus X-Men, and I haven't after Inhumans versus X-Men, I haven't touched Inhumans related book at all, so I have no idea.
Yeah, so the stuff that happened in issue 2, basically that Quake was on her way to do something Secret Empire related, and runs into a compound where Karnak and Inferno were both being held, and most of them break out, and Inferno is trying to head out with his buddies, and but Inferno instead decides to stick around, and the buddies are off running into the woods by themselves. Well, woods. It's supposedly set in Philadelphia, and so that was what the quip was on the beginning, because it was those same buddies who were like, "Hey, dickhead, you left us in Philly." But like you guys, like I don't really read anything Inhuman related, so there's a whole bunch of stuff in this issue that, unless you're an Inhuman fan, if there is such a thing, I don't know that you. I don't know that you're going to get all these references, right?
Right.
But I will say I don't think that related to Inhumans versus X-Men or the issues prior to Magic coming on board, that all the shade was about Magic. I think the shade was about the negative press that had come about because of these explosions.
Yeah, that too. Right.
And I don't think there was anything Magic related. Although, frankly, a lot of people could probably make the argument that Magic is barely mutant. I mean, she's more mystical demon at this point. But, but regardless, no. Yeah, if you don't read Inhumans, I think half of this stuff is going to go right over your head.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily take away. I still had a lot of fun with this, like the characters.
Absolutely.
Especially like Magic and Inferno. Them going off. That whole thing was great. Like, cause I'm trying to remember because they were. Oh yeah, it's when they left and Magic took their TV remote. And Girl was like, "Did she really just take that?" So again, the quips are definitely landed. When they get to Anulix, I don't know how you pronounce it. Someone can correct me if on here or off air. But yeah, when they get there, that was really cool because they land or they warp in there, and Magic's like, "Hold on." He's like, "You okay, kid?" He's like, "Yeah." He got done puking. Yeah. And I do want to point out. Just point out the art real quick on that panel when they make their way there. The painting.
Do we have to?
The painting of the Jack Kirby-esque homage. That was really dope. I really appreciated that.
I'm kind of mad you went to that page because since we're on that page, that's the first panel on that page. If you go down to the third panel, what happened to Magic's face? I'll give you a sec to check out her lips.
Yeah, no, I'm looking.
She was trying to speak out of the side of her mouth.
That's what
the artist was a little too literal with that, I think.
Literally.
Yeah, and speaking of, this is actually where the art changes, and I believe Wilson. Let me get his name real quick. Will Robson, I believe this is his portion of the art taking over. The art really jumped around in this issue for me. It kind of didn't make sense why. By reading it, I didn't see a explanation on why they would need two different art styles in here. So it was really hard to, get used to one thing and then jump back over, and it's a whole Magic totally different. The only thing I came to theorize about, maybe because everything was inside was no, I'm not sure why there was a art change.
You're trying.
I am. I thought I had it last night, but I was like, no, maybe not.
Well, I'll say that I happen to really like the art a lot in Secret Warriors as a series. I think the colors are really beautiful.
Yes,
I think Inferno's power effects, since we're about at the same page still, always look really great.
Yeah.
And I also like Magic's effects.
Yes.
And they look really great together. One of the things that I always appreciate when coloring is done right is that the colorist usually has a lot of influence over the direction of light and ambient light.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have Inferno, who is inflamed, and you have Magic with a light up soul sword, that light confusion can really happen pretty poorly. But not here. Here, it's all really beautiful. It's very ambient. It's beautiful. So yeah, I think the art's solid. I like it.
Yeah, I do. It just kind of jumped around for me at points, and it was kind of hard to stay focused on, get used to one setting, and then opposed to like having to jump back and forth.
Sure.
That's a minor nitpick though. I still love the art though. Like both styles, I still love a lot. But yeah, I mean, we can kind of touch on Inferno, I guess. I thought it's been pretty. It's been played well throughout this entire arc, and I'm sure prior leading up to this, like him being super fed up, stressed, needing to get laid, and then when when Karnak's son lets him know, he's like, "Hey, my father always said, it's all we're bowing to the king, not the chair that's made out of Terrigen." He's like, Well,
can I say something real fast? Because
Yeah.
when we got to that point in the book, the end was pretty much ruined for me.
Really?
Yeah, as soon as he said what his Karnak's son said, the saying, that, like what you said, like we don't actually bow to the throne, we bow to the ruler. When that whole entire thing, they worded it in a way that straight up said, "There's Terrigen crystals inside the throne. How come no one's ever thought about this saying and figure out that there's more Terrigen crystals in this throne? Somebody go get the crystals." That's what it said. It screamed to me. Like instantly, I knew like, oh, by the end of the book, somebody's gonna go get the crystals out the chair.
Yeah. So you're saying it probably should have been worded
A little bit
more secretly.
A little bit differently. Maybe give him bits and pieces. Like maybe Karnak's son couldn't remember all of it, and this gives him like a little bit of it.
Yeah,
But
I think at the same time we probably just have to, because this series is ending very soon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we gotta get to it then.
Yeah, we gotta get to it.
Well, it's funny you say that because I also had a problem with the ending, but for a somewhat different reason. If Dante's Inferno, I get it. It's stupid. Anyway.
Hold on. I just want to say, did you just not get that?
No, I got it before, but
Okay.
I don't think I registered it as an intentional joke, and now I'm like, oh no, you really thought that was funny. Fuck you people. Anyway.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't like Inferno. But go ahead.
So anyway, I don't like that he's a Human Torch derivative, but
Yeah.
So the thing is that when you get to that final scene, if he's an Inhuman, right? Every Inhuman knows what the throne is, right? And he even comments in the conversation with Lear that that's just a legend. What are you talking about? And there's part of me that sits here and thinks, like, true, Lear being Karnak's son and Karnak being part of the royal family, therefore, Lear could possibly add some fact behind the myth, which would trigger Inferno to do what he did. But when I first read that page, the last 2 pages, my first read through, I thought, I'm getting serious clone vibes. I'm getting serious, like, doppelganger vibes. Like, he didn't have this basic intelligence, and as soon as he got the light in his head, poof, off he goes, and he's going to do something totally out of character for Dante. And I'm thinking, like, well, Mr. Sinister and Dark Beast are behind all of it, so who the hell knows? But I did not get a vibe that this was actually the real Inferno doing what he really does. And adding on top of that, you have, I mean, he seems like a nice kid, but I didn't think that he'd be fuck buddies with Quake. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere for me too.
and
Way
on
out
top
of
of that,
nowhere.
and I mean, if he was so upset about his niece, which frankly I don't think had enough grounding and setup for us to believe that he really is that concerned with his niece, that would compel him to break apart the throne and take these crystals. I just kind of feel like there's something fishy going on here in this whole thing. It doesn't seem to fully add up to me. And if I'm wrong, and this really is Inferno, well, now I have more problems with the narrative. But I don't know. It's something didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I guess I didn't necessarily get that vibe when reading it. I just figured, because I felt this whole series so far, since we started it at least, he has been on edge a lot, super snappy. So I just took it as like as soon as he got the thought in his head, he ran with it super quick. And I can see you guys' argument, like, how did he not know this?
How did nobody not know
Yeah,
this?
nobody not know this.
Right.
How did Karnak not know this?
Well, maybe
your
Karnak
species
does
is going
know.
extinct. Like, why did you not think that this would help? You know?
Yeah, Karnak just may be sitting on it. Who knows?
And Rob, how long have you been reading the series? How long have you been reading this?
Since the beginning.
Okay, so when Karnak came into play, did he come into play to try to find a way to create new Inhumans?
Not necessarily. It was revealed that Actually, no, I don't think it ever came apart that he wanted to do that. The closest you got to that premise would be that Karnak realizing that Inhumans are an endangered species. God, is there no originality left in Marvel? He turned over Lear to Mr. Sinister so that Mr. Sinister could, genetically engineer Inhuman. What's it called? Teragenesis.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, but
that was it. Like he didn't.
He did it indirectly. Is what you're saying.
He did it very indirectly, and it seemed like he was doing it on behalf of Lear, not on behalf of the Inhuman race.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got from it.
I'm just trying to put it together as to why nobody, especially Karnak, didn't think to go after this throne until this moment in time.
Well, knowing that Karnak's such a dick, I'm sure that his point was, "Oh yeah, that's the solution. I just don't care enough to do anything about it."
That's my last resort type of thing.
Or that I can see that now that you say it like that, I can see that. That sounds like Karnak.
It's like that's not the most logical answer to whatever we're trying to do. So fuck it.
Now I will say that ISO actually had a really good line through here, and something I'm surprised we didn't even bring up because she's talking to him. She's like, "Hey, reminder: next time, bring these kids to Adeline so we can, research them first before you go out and return them, so this sort of thing doesn't happen." And I was thinking to myself, you know what? Why? Probably would have been smart if they probably should have ran some tests on them just to make sure. But at the same time, if they would have took him there, Sinister, if he would have found out, could have blew up New Adeline. Kind of a catch-22 there, now that I think about it. Yeah, I don't know how you could have really played that. But either way, I mean, I'm glad it was at least brought up, the fact that, hey, yeah, you probably should have brought him here, opposed to causing all this, and now everything looks really bad on you guys.
Now we look like mutants. I mean, how mutants used to look. I mean, Inhumans. We're not mutants. We're Inhumans.
Hey, at least Devil Dinosaur's back. That put a smile on my face.
Yeah, well, he's stuck on a pole.
Come on, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur own this series. I mean, that's probably the highlight of every issue is whatever Moon Girl says or whatever Devil Dinosaur does. Yeah,
she had some really good, cute moments when she's drawing the dinosaur on the on the what's the word I'm looking for? The tube, I guess.
The chamber or whatever.
The chamber, yeah, where the kids are, where the sick kids are. She draws on it and says, "Get well soon." I thought that was super cute. And then when she's talking to Magic, she's like, "Hey, grumpy lady,
exactly.
I need a lift." And I'm not super familiar with Mosaic. I know he was like introduced. I had no interest in his series or him as a character because he showed up. He was a part in Civil War II, right? If I'm correct. Yeah, I haven't read Civil War II.
Alan.
I don't remember, but Mosaic's honestly like a super forgettable character.
Yeah, and very.
And they tried so hard to make him a memorable character. They failed miserably.
Yeah, even a lot of people in the blurred community were like, "Yeah, the Mosaic series, no, nice try, Marvel, but no, didn't work." And they kind of scrapped him, but hey, we'll throw him in here at least so you can just remind her that he's still around. Maybe he'll be back. But Moon Girl, or not Moon Girl, but we found out, I'm not sure, this maybe Planet Seeds a while ago, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Rob. Miss Marvel having a crush on Inferno.
Totally new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, came out of nowhere.
Now, I hate to say it, I like Miss Marvel, but Miss Marvel has a crush on somebody on every team she's on.
Pretty much,
yeah.
I happen to. It's really weird. I like Miss Marvel's solo stuff. I hate Miss Marvel on teams. She just drives me crazy. She does the same thing on Champions, where she kind of has this moral superiority complex, where she knows better than everybody else, and that hasn't really happened so much in the Magic arc, but it came up a lot in the arc up to this point.
Yeah, I've seen like small hints of it when we first started reading this series.
Yeah,
like when she was talking to Moon Girl, Moon Girl had to shut her down real quick.
Right, it's that kind of like, you're a superhero, you're going to take losses, and her whole thing. The other person who does this all the time is Amadeus Cho. It drives me absolutely bananas. Goodness. I'm like, you're the reason we're losing, idiot. Shut up, And so Miss Marvel on teams is never my favorite thing, but I love her as a character, and her solo series is good. But anyway.
Yeah. What else is there?
You know what I'd really like to see, since unfortunately the series is ending soon. I think we have 2 issues left. Um, I would just like to see a little bit more coordination with Marvel's editors, and that how cool would it be to see in X-Men Gold number 28 some background panel with Magic and Moon Girl having a visit,
Yes.
on a bench somewhere on the X-Men grounds.
Wow.
I want to see some sort of connection there
Yes,
somewhere.
that's
I
been
think
one of my biggest gripes since starting this podcast and in general, like reading some of these books as well. It's just like
they don't even have to have dialogue. Just
No.
wouldn't it be great to see in the background
that
somebody
connection, that connective tissue, man. That's all. That's all.
and
we
people
want.
are like, who is Magic talking to? And people will be like, the internet will go crazy. And we're like, no, it's Moon Girl, and they're best friends, and you should read Secret Warriors. And, I don't know.
Well,
When I'm editor-in-chief, it'll be different.
we've been, like you said, Ryan, we've been saying that from the start, as far as like having these books connect in some kind of way. It's like the X-Men are way over here in the corner, and nothing that they do outside the X books actually does anything or has any connection. You're right. It would be awesome if she was texting her and we could just see like a quick text bubble saying, "Hey, how you doing?" and it said Moon Girl.
Yeah,
Or,
I'll be bringing that up when we get on with Anthony later during a particular book.
Well, it just I miss that. I miss that in Marvel. I miss that with the X-Men. I miss I miss them teaming up with other people, and then you seeing the repercussions later on. I want to see some people become close friends. I'd love to see some people become enemies. Like they can't stand each other, but yet and still they end up having to work with each other.
Yeah, and it sucks too because like we read a lot of the Jason X books, and because we like to see X-Men with other characters. It's like playing Capcom versus Marvel. Getting those two properties together for a fighting game. Yes, please. So let's just do that across the board. That's all. If you're listening, new editor in chief Mark, I think it's or Sabluski, Mark Sabluski.
Yeah.
I could be mispronouncing his first name.
I'd love to see I'd love to see Miles Morales show up at the mansion looking for young Cyclops.
I can't believe
Like,
I'm
this is
surprised
the
we never
things we wanna
saw.
see.
I'm surprised we never saw Miles in Uncanny Avengers. That's a shame.
Anyway.
At least when
But you
Spider-Man
think-
was on the team.
But you see, these are the things we used to get. We used to get these crossovers and these team ups. And we used to get characters that just came out of nowhere. Like, what is kind of like we've said before, Ryan, with the movies. Like Ant-Man is always my go-to movie when I talk about this, is because in Ant-Man we were guaranteed we were getting an Ant-Man movie. We knew Wasp was going to be in there, but she wasn't going to be the Wasp. But we were surprised when everybody saw Falcon in that movie.
Yeah,
Falcon
that was really
not-
cool.
He was not advertised. He was not nothing. There was nothing that ever said Falcon was going to be there. And when you're watching the movie, you see him pop up. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's how the books used to be.
Right. The
So
good
we
old
need
days.
to go back to that. Yeah, the good old days. We need to go back to that.
The good old days of the Copper Age,
Good stuff. Yeah, I think we've just about touched on everything, really. Unless you guys got any other real thoughts you want to get out there.
I got nothing.
Bring back the good old days.
There we go. Rob, what's going to be your score for Secret Warriors number
10?
10?
Sure. I had to flip to the front. I couldn't remember. It's going to be an 8. I thought it was... it wasn't the greatest comic book I ever read, but it was certainly excellent. I liked it. It was really good. I like the way it looks. I can see that we're going to be approaching landing soon for the series, but I think 8's on point.
Okay. What about you, Alan?
I'm going to go a little bit lower than the 8, and I'm going to go with a 7. It wasn't terrible. It was still enjoyable. There were a few things that took me out of it, kind of, just because I hadn't read anything before this arc started, and I think that would have added a little bit more for me if I had. But there was some interesting moments in here. Definitely some pretty cool moments. So it wasn't terrible. It wasn't average. It was a little bit above average. So 7.
Right on. All right. Well, I was going to go 8.5, but I'm going to go 9.
Wow.
That
Wow.
point 5 is for the Pig Destroyer lyrics, which is amazing. And I like that we actually got some movement as far as the story goes. I definitely understand some of you guys' gripes. I'm still loving the art, even though it kind of jumped around a lot. The vibrant colors were still there throughout the entire thing. And it's been a long time, not long time, I would say it's been a while since I've actually grinned throughout an entire comic, and for the most part, I think all the jokes land. The only one that didn't land for me was the last time they tried the "Are you puking still, Inferno?" The third, it was like the second, third time. I was like, okay, okay, I don't ruin it. But I'm still having a lot of fun with this, really, and Karnak has kind of changed my view on him right now. I'm excited to see what I feel like when him and Karnak and Sinister come head to head. Hopefully, some sweet shit happens. So
you think Karnak's gonna slap Sinister?
Oh, please. I love that.
I might give that issue a 10 if Karnak slaps Sinister.
And then Magic cuts off his head.
Nice.
Mr. Sinister's head. Yes. And of course, hopefully Inferno gets his niece back by the end. I'm sure he will.
Probably.
But he's a mess. He's quite the mess right now. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. What are we talking about next, Danger?
Despicable Deadpool number 290. Written by Jerry Duggan with art from Scott Koblish and Nick Filardi with letterer Joe Sabino.
After taking refuge at Deadpool's secret lair under the streets of New York City, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style, Cable decides to call himself in the future and set up a meeting. During this meeting, Deadpool actually kills Cable, takes his heart, and plans to meet up with Strife.
So, the title of the cover says it all. This issue, Cable dies, and the name of the arc is Deadpool kills Cable. And I feel like if you've never read a comic book before, you might have actually believed that to be true at face value. But we, being smart readers, realize that, there will be a twist. And so after all these, what are we, part 4 of this silly arc, surprise, here comes a twist. He kills Cable, but not really. Not the Cable that you know, at least. And it's like, God damn it, comic books. I asked you to commit to one damn thing. Just kill fucking Cable. Whatever.
Yeah. I'm going to be maybe in the minority after we hear Alan's thoughts. In a way, I'm still pissed off about the 18-page count because there was like one splash page, utterly bullshit. Dropped the price. It's in a way back to normal from like the when we first started this arc. There was at least some meat and a lot of eye candy to this issue. I had fun reading it. I will say that opposed to the last one, I had no fun because it was straight to the point. While this one's straight to the point still, there's still so much to get us to the end. And there were some cool reveals at the end that I thought to get me excited to kind of see this conclusion. And it never really slows down for me. But yeah, that's my overall take. How about you, Alan, before we get into some juicy stuff?
Oh boy. Well, I will say this. I'm kind of in the middle. This one definitely was probably the best issue since like the first issue of the series. But at the same time, I think since the beginning we were all like there's some kind of twist. I was pretty sure that being time travel that some kind of alternate version of Cable was going to come into play, and that's how we were going to get Cable is dead. And that's exactly what happened here. So that part didn't let me down. I would have liked to have been surprised maybe to see if they really did have the guts to kill, our Cable. I mean, if need be, they could have replaced him with an alternate Cable, but
easily. Hey, we saw plenty of those.
There's plenty of those in this issue. So I mean, technically, I think that because this is 4, I think that they could have told this story in exactly 4 issues. I think they could have cut one issue out. Yeah. This could have been like the 3rd issue. The next issue could have been the end, and we could be done with the arc. I did enjoy Deadpool's turtle hideout, though.
Yeah, there was a lot of eye candy in there. Speaking of,
there was tons of it. This is a lot of candy.
This is the week for band-related things. You see, I actually bought this for guided view just so I can like see a lot of the detail. And there's a Mudhoney writing on the wall, which is pretty cool. For any Mudhoney fans out there. But yeah, I really like the art still throughout this issue so far. It has that sort of like cartoon animation feel, which I dug. There was still that motion that I always want, and the facial expressions, it was all there for me. And I don't want to jump ahead too far. I did enjoy a lot of the techno babble as well. I'm glad I'm glad we got some of that in here. But Rob, what were some of the things that stood out to you throughout the issue?
I did actually enjoy this issue. I mean, I gave it some shit a minute ago, but the truth is, I did like it, and like you guys said, I think this is as good or nearly as good as the first issue in the arc, where we all raved about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is probably the best issue since then. It had a lot of momentum. It was good. It had a lot of eye candy, as you said. It was funny.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was a lot of quips that were repeated. Although I'd like to point out my favorite one right now, where Deadpool says, "Old Man Cable, what are we out of ideas over here?"
Yes.
And then,
yes.
and then a few pages later, there's an advertisement for Old Man Hawkeye, which I thought was pretty fun. Anyway, so so yes, we are out of ideas here at Marvel. Anyway, no, it's. I thought it was cool. I liked it. I particularly like the scene and the concept that there is a secret base full of alternate reality cables.
Yes.
Do you know what it made me think of? I'm not sure if either one of you remember. They had the Council of Reeds. Like there was something similar to that, where there was a central location where alternate versions of Reed Richards would meet up.
That sounds
brilliant.
familiar. But
Yes,
that sounds
yeah,
awesome.
they had
Never
something
heard of
just
this.
like that. Yes, it was like a way station somewhere, like in between worlds, in between some dimension, and everybody who had access to it were all alternate versions of Reed Richards.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool to see the alternate versions. We do see, speaking of Reed Richards, we see a Reed Richards Cable, Squirrel Cable,
A squirrel.
a little Munchkin Cable, then a Detective Cable, probably some other stuff other
There's
characters
like
I didn't recognize.
Eagle Cable.
Eagle Cable, yeah, I was wondering who that is.
I don't know what
There's
any of these
a
are.
barbarian cable like way in the back.
What'd you say, Alan?
There's like a barbarian cable way in the back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, then another Asgardian Cable, too, when you turn the page.
Mm-hmm.
And, speaking, while we're on that page, it's cool when they're like Deadpool and him are walking, and Cable's like, "We can't afford to try and trick Strife." And as he's walking by that Cable who's carrying the broods,
Nice work.
Yeah, puts a hand on the shoulder. Nice work. I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But yeah, like you said, Rob, there were definitely some good quips. One that really, I'm surprised that I laughed as much as I did during this, but it's when they're underneath the subway station, and Cable's like, "Do the workers never come down here?" And you see Deadpool stuffing
I haven't seen
in the
one
barrel.
yet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got a little laugh out of that. I feel, and I don't know, like the last issue, we didn't necessarily laugh at any of the jokes. Like it was pretty bland. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. We kind of get back to normal, some normalcy in this issue, and with some Blade references as well. I forgot.
Yeah,
about that.
I like the Blade reference.
Oh, and we get a Bamf. He actually said
yes.
Bamf as
Yes,
well.
Bamf.
That was cool. That was cool.
Anybody who uses Banff as a verb always wins my heart.
So that was solid. That was solid as well. But yeah,
I think the writer was like, "How can we get those X-Men Monday guys? Put Banff in there."
There we go. They're covering it on the X-Men Monday. Might as well. But it was cool. Like the visual when they got on the train. Again, I'm probably going to be talking a lot about the art now for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they got on the train, then the kind of like the rainbow effect, and they're like going full speed, and they make their way, and then reading this guided view when they make their way up to the top of the ship, and it's like we're at the end of the universe. Mm-hmm. That was cool to see. I don't feel we've seen that enough when we actually do go to the end of the Marvel universe. So I got a real kick out of that, and I thought that was solid. How about you guys? Did that work for you as well?
The whole end scene worked for me from the moment they got onto the train and they shot through space time all the way up until they got onto the ship and made that whole entire scene works for me.
Yeah.
There were a lot of panels in here that I really liked. The exterior shot of Penn Station in the snow I thought looked really good. Mm-hmm. There was a panel where Cable and Deadpool are both being scanned as they enter Penn Station with all the red lines, and that looked really good. And
more
then, of course,
more
technobabble. And then, of course, the climactic scene where Deadpool actually kills Cable, and how it has
that worked.
How it has, the white background and matching the gunshot and how it lights up everything from the background. I thought it looked really, really cool. And then, of course, we actually get some classic Deadpool where he's all really gross and tries to stuff his heart into a pillowcase.
Yeah.
He talks about the thread count.
Right. This is a good quality.
Exactly.
There was speaking of the gunshot too. Like I was not. I kind of not jumped in. I jumped in a sense when it happened right away because you turn like you said, Rob, when we were talking off air. Nothing like getting that physical copy, turn the page, and boom.
Right.
Because old man Cable, he's saying, I want to die seeing the last light. And Deadpool's like, all right, boom. So that really worked for me. The more I talk about it, the more I am having more fun with this issue as well. It was a solid issue, though, for me. And the cover to the next issue is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it looks pretty fun.
Yeah, it looks really, like, minus, like, the weird, like, kind of emoji things, but it kind of just goes to Deadpool. But Strike barfing up Rainbow. That's great. But what else? Yeah, I mean, Apocalypse global warming. Well, he weaponizes global warming.
Weaponized global warming. That was hilarious, and it was awesome to hear that it was Apocalypse that did that.
Well, who else?
Bring him back. I need Apocalypse to come back.
Right.
I think I'm still good on having a hiatus, but we just had him in Extraordinary X-Men for a while.
True. But yeah, what else? You guys got anything else on this, really? No, I mean, there's not, like, a lot. Well, there was meat, but not, I guess, in the story sense. Like, it was, again, straightforward, but at least it wasn't, like you were saying earlier, Rob, I can't think of the word. I'm so off today because we're recording this out of order. The momentum of the whole issue was really what had a lot of meat to it, I thought.
It kept moving forward.
Right.
Yeah, but like Alan pointed out, consequently, because some of the last two issues had less momentum, I feel like you could have condensed the last two issues into one, and this would have been 4 parts instead of 5. That would have probably made more sense.
Easily.
But consequently, we got good momentum here, and so that makes this a better individual issue.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of, I mean, when we do this, I feel like we pull things from, like, the last issue, obviously, but I feel like we do, like, review it as an issue itself. Before picking apart. I mean, unless there's some crazy continuity or story problems, yes. But I feel we review it as the issue itself. But yeah, unless you guys got anything else, you want to go ahead and give your score, Alan?
Yeah, I actually will. This may surprise some people. I'm going to give this an 8. I think this was the strongest issue since the first issue. I think the art really worked for this issue. The jokes were actually funny this go around. They actually connected some things to the last issue, even though, we think the arc could have been shorter. It's always good to see when they make a connection to something they've already established before.
Right.
And the whole scene from the moment that they get to the way station all the way to the end of the book was like, that was great.
Yeah, speaking of, that started the issue when they're walking underneath the subway. The raindrops and the black background, it was just, I don't know, it screamed animation to me. And I was like, that's really cool. Like, Rick, or what is his name? What's the artist's name on here? Scott Skoblish and Nick Filardi. Yeah, great job as well. But, Rob, what's your score, man?
This is a little hard. Because this was a good issue. But the problem I'm having here is that I think I'm just kind of losing interest.
Okay.
I don't think that this arc is going to make me want to read beyond the next issue. But although I hear Rogue is coming for at least a short visit,
that's
so
what I was
I
just
might
about
pick
to
that
say.
up. I mean, look, you put Rogue in it, I'm buying it.
Oh yeah.
There's a little tip, Marvel. But so I'm actually going to go with a 7. I thought it was a perfectly good issue, and I thought it was probably the better of the 4 that we've read so far. But I don't think it is as good as the first one, and I'm kind of losing momentum, even though we just talked about momentum here. I'm kind of losing interest in the arc and the momentum to keep going beyond the arc. So, but it was executed well and well enough. So I think 7's a fair score.
Okay. Yeah, it is a fair score, I would say as well. I'm gonna go 8.5. I thought it did pick things back up finally, and because it's funny that you say that you're losing momentum with the series itself. And I felt that way with the last issue. I was like, I think this is starting to go downhill. But Jerry Duggan was able to pick it back up, and again, he got me excited at least to see the conclusion of this. And yeah, I mean, I am going to read the Rogue arc coming after this, I believe, but I'm not sure if I'm still going to stick. I'm not dedicated enough to Deadpool to stick around unless there's a cameo or that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm going to go 8.5. I love the art as well. The art is taking up a lot of my score. If it was based on story, I would give it a 7. But combining the two, I'm going to go. I don't know, story, actually a 5.5. But yeah, with everything, 8.5. 8.5, guys. Cool. That being said, Rob, thank you for joining us for these 2 books. We're going to go on to our next book, and I think next week, thank God, the sales did not come out. But when we're recording this, because we are recording this out of order, and even if they do come out after, because we're recording this on Friday, so if they come out tomorrow, you will be hearing them on the next episode, because we got a hefty episode for you already. But thanks, Rob, for joining us as always, and we'll talk to you soon,
Always
man.
fun. Thanks very much.
Yeah. And what are we talking about next, Danger?
Cable number 152. Written by Ed Brisson with art from John Mullen and Jesus Avertive with letterer Travis Lanham.
While Cable and the team go to check out a secret lair of former foe Gideon, Selena and the rest of the externals decide to do their own investigation, try to figure out who's killing the externals. After a confrontation with Gideon, Cable and the squad quickly realize that it's Gideon behind it, and now they're trapped inside the base with mutant psychics.
Gideon's behind it all, and that works. But yeah, overall, it didn't pick up right away from that last issue, and it didn't bug me too much because I think the point of it was for Shatterstar to reveal to Cable, like, hey, something's not right with Blink. Well, she may actually be fully bad, but Cable's like, I'm not sure. It just doesn't really sit well, and I'm still curious how that's going to end because we know at least now the remaining externals who are alive who are trying to figure out, they'll soon figure out Gideon is behind it all. And when those two come together, I wonder what that interaction is going to be like as well. But also, it was super fast paced. I thought after reuniting the team. Once they reunited the team, it really moved from there. And what else really? I mean, that's kind of my overall thoughts. I felt that there was something in the air throughout this whole issue. And when we get to the end, I was like, yeah, there definitely was something in the air. What were some of your overall thoughts though before we get into it?
I think it was interesting that we brought Gideon back. It's really interesting to see that they don't think an external can be killed, and apparently, it's possible if another external does it. Yeah,
because they mentioned Selena, she's like, we're supposed to be able to connect with each other and know when this is happening. So yeah, there's so I'm assuming maybe the psychics that Gideon has, maybe he is able to block it. They're able to block it. I mean, that's not necessarily kind of explained just yet, but maybe hopefully that's touched on because I'm still curious on how, because for them to bring it up like that, I feel that there probably hopefully is some explanation to that.
True. I mean, they did walk into a base full of psychics. It was interesting that he mentioned that all those psychics are essentially equal to having a Professor X or a Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
So that says a lot, though, that it takes that many psychics to equal the power of one or both of them.
Yeah, there was at least 30 of them. I'd say that were in there.
Yeah, at least that we saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think kind of what we were talking about with Secret Warriors, though. Did you read Exiles or kind of some of the editor notes they were leaving in here? Are you familiar with? Because I'm pretty sure we both. I know I'm not familiar with the externals. I believe you said you weren't either.
Not extensively. I know of the externals. Of course, way back when we did IVX, I told you I knew of Selena because Selena was considered the first mutant. Obviously, that's not necessarily true because of Apocalypse. But anyway, we can get into a big, deep conversation about that by itself. To answer your question, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. So there were some things that definitely went over my head, especially when Gideon was revealed at the end. Before he was actually revealed, he's in that chamber, and they're like, yeah, he died. Like, he's been here, he's been laying in his chamber for 10 years now, and they leave excuse me, they leave you a editor's note. So, the series is really pulling from way back in the day, as expected with these characters, because we haven't seen any of them, like besides Selena, briefly in IVX. I'm glad I forgot that she was in there, so I'm glad you brought that up. Excuse me. But yeah, so this is really, in the end, it kind of added to the list of things that I need to read now. So I do need to, I got to go back and read all the Exile stuff and some of the other stuff dealing with Shatterstar and Cable as well. But yeah, that was pretty much the basis of the issue. Not much to really like theorize on this, because there's still a lot of questions in the air, for me at least.
Like, is Dupe going to be okay?
Like, is Dupe going to be okay? Yeah, because he got swatted. And I'm glad every person was chosen for a particular role. But unfortunately, not Gideon, but Dupe was laid out cold. And I'm glad he got to use his powers, though, at least. And speaking of powers, I do hope that Armor gets some sort of more utilization in here, because now in Gold and Cable, within Cable, she has a spark to her, which I'm enjoying, and she has a slight spark to her in the X-Men Gold series, but more in this. But yeah, she just hasn't been utilized that much yet, and she gets pulled away from the fight. They do mention, like, hey, you have to go fight someone bigger, being Gideon. So I do hope that we get that showdown between Armor and Gideon, because come on, she's not built of armor, but she can form armor around her. Like, let's do something with that. Let's have her wreck shop. You know what I mean?
Well, she did do a little something this issue. She had a little bit of action, and she was the one that was responsible for them to be able to get into the hallway.
Mm-hmm. True.
Because remember, the door was pretty much closed, and she's the one that popped the door open so they could get out.
Yeah, so maybe that's the start of her rage.
Mm-hmm.
A little sample bit. Speaking of armor, I asked you before we got off air. I gave you a couple minutes to see if you picked up the horrendous problem with the art. Just one panel only. I still have some issues with the art I'll get into. But when they are, let me get to the page real quick. It's when they're on the Quinjet, and they're.
I'm sorry. We're on the Quinjet. You mean when they're on the Blackbird?
No, the Blackbird. Thank you.
Yeah, because remember, Cable borrowed the Blackbird.
Yes. And so yeah, borrowed the Blackbird, and they're kind of discussing the plan, because Shatterstar, he's like, hey, why are we essentially why are we chasing them? Like, they've been our foes forever. We should be glad that people are killing them off. And Cable's
Stop.
Like, yeah,
Stop.
You see it now?
I know what it is. It's Cable, isn't it?
No.
So go ahead there, because I think I might have caught something else. But go ahead.
Okay, they're talking, and the person after because Cable explains, hey, like, in order to, just because they're our foes, any small thing that messes up in the timeline will have issues in the future. And Armor is like the butterfly effect. Like the butterfly effect. One small change can result in bigger changes.
Oh,
and Cable says
exactly
that
X-23. How did I not? You know what? I think I did look at that when she said it, and because it was from the back and I saw the long hair, I just was like, oh, it's X-23. Had I really looked and saw the yellow stripe down the shirt, I would have been like, wait a minute, that's Armor.
And
wow.
Yeah, and even then, I knew something was off, because at first I was like, well, first X-23 wouldn't talk like this.
Nope.
In this stage.
Not then. This is when she was feral X-23.
Feral.
Like, I'll cut your face up. This is that X-23. This is not the new, calmer, a little bit more peaceful, rational thing in X-23. You're entirely right.
How does that not get not delayed, but translated from the art to the page, obviously, and then to get past editorial?
Oh, and on top of that, you can see X-23 in the panel turning around, looking at Armor.
Exactly, my friend.
Mm.
So that's, again, solidifies as well, again, that editorial does not pay attention, or on the X-Men side of things right now, are not paying attention to a lot of these books, and are just Yep, we got to get them out every other 2 weeks. So
Come on, guys. That's a simple, small fix. That's an easy fix. Literally, all you had to do was change X-23 to armor.
Yeah,
that's all you had to do. Like, and when I say that, I mean the dialogue bubble. All you had to do was scratch that X-23, like wipe that out, and it's like, that's exactly right, armor.
But not to take away from that scene, because I did enjoy that scene at least, because it's when Cable does explain, "Hey, yo, I got no love for the externals. Would be more than happy to see them all in slabs, but just not the way things are done." I like the way he did express that to Shatterstar. But when I saw that panel, I could believe it, obviously, because we know some of the issues.
And it's funny because when I was reading, it felt weird looking at the panel. I didn't know what it was. It did feel kind of weird, and I think my issue at the time was X-23 doesn't talk like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not this X-23.
Not this.
But I was like, I'll let it slide because it's one panel, and I didn't really get into it. Had I got into it, man, wow.
So, that's going to ding. Unfortunately, that is going to ding the score for me on this issue.
Oh, yeah.
But what else, though? I do like when Shatterstar had some pretty cool lines in here when we do, when the real Gideon finally shows up, and Shatterstar is like, all right, I'm ready. This is what I came here for. Let's do this.
One thing is, he's like, so we battle then? Like,
yep.
He's like, so we're going to do this, right?
And I like the sort of ominous feeling when they do enter Gideon's underground bunker in Colorado, the Black Canyon of Gunnison, Colorado. I do like that because that whole the dialogue the dialogue. What's that word I'm looking? Oh, I am out of it today, man. What is wrong with me? The way the dialogue worked together between each characters, it gave it a really ominous feeling because I knew something, like that's what I was mentioning earlier. I knew something was in the air when when Eve showed up, and who I'm not familiar with as well. And she's like she's being so welcoming, like, hey, come on in, like we'll show you everything. Hey, look at these psychics we have that you're walking past. Hey, they're gonna come into play later. We're gonna get you, buddy.
They volunteered.
Yep. They volunteer, quote unquote, for the noble cause. And I think the reveal when the chamber does go down, Gideon's chamber does go down because Dupe knocks on it. It wouldn't have worked if it wasn't Dupe, I think, because he is that sort of clumsy, like like that sort of character who would do that. But then I do want to jump to because they kind of cut that scene real quick. And they do go back to what was his name? I had it written down.
To my Burke.
The hippie.
Burke.
What did you say?
Burke.
Yeah. So when they go to his little cabin to see what's going on with that, and they see that the heart's been taken out. And I do like the fact that it was pointed out. Selena notices, she was like, "Hey, there was no sign of a struggle." So maybe that's like her starting to finally piece things together. I think. I like that motion that was placed there for me. But
I like Blink's reaction.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was sort of confused about her reaction. Because she entered the same room with them. They're all staring at the body. So I didn't necessarily understand why she was so shocked when she saw his body.
Well, when she comes in, she's behind Selena and a couple of the other externals.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next panel we see her in, she's facing towards the window and she's just turning to talk to Selena. And then when she turns all the way, that's when she actually sees the whole body.
Yeah, but she would have had to. She had to walk past the body to go to the window, though, is my thing.
I'm trying to get a idea of where that wall is at that they come in through.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily know.
Because the way it looks, if you're looking at the wall, it looks like they came in through the wall. Blink
kind
would
of
have
looks like
turned
a fireplace.
Blink would have turned to her left and walked and looked out the window. And then Selena makes that comment about, doesn't like there was much of a struggle. It appears so, Blink. And then that's when Blink turns and is like, oh my goodness, he's got a hole in his body.
Yeah, it's still questionable for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this is very. I'm not sure. I think the art may be starting to wear on me. It's very Rob Liefeld esque. Very.
Well, I mean, they had to bring Gideon back, so why not go ahead and Liefeld it up?
Yeah, very true. Very true. I do like Gideon's mannerisms and his sort of dialogue because he in the end where he. Cause, well, I don't know where to start because there's a lot that happens within this scene. Because Dupe, obviously, or the psychics wake up, put all of them down. Dupe is able to launch his powers. He gets swiped away. Cable's actually able to knock down Gideon for the time being. And it's funny when Adam's like coming out of nowhere, and
he's like, Gideon, faster, I will.
Mm-hmm. And next panel, X-23 swipes his head off. It's like, yep, that's done. That was a cool scene. But yeah, his snarkiness to him, because when he releases like whatever those mutants were or those monsters that he pulled from the future,
they were humans.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah, they were humans from 3,000 years in the future that had like evolved past being human. Like he made a little small comment about it.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right, because humanity changed. Okay. But yeah, when he's actually leaving, he's like going down the elevator, or closing the door at least. He's like, "Hey, thanks for the Blackbird as well. I'm gonna head off now." So he really pulled a fast one on him.
You know what's funny, and I'm surprised you didn't make this comment. Do you know that? Look at that page again where X-23 cuts Adam in half. Does Adam look like somebody or something from somewhere?
Oh, kind of like Exo.
I can see the Exo comparison. I was thinking.
Oh, I see.
Go ahead. What?
At least with the head, I will say Judge Dredd.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought Dredd at first, and then when I looked at his body and the head, I was thinking the like part of the robot that they had in the. I'm sure he was probably in the comics too, but he was in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep. With the round like kind of bolt on his head.
Yeah, but he had like the wires underneath the armor and everything. That's what it kind of looked like to me. I was like, oh man, Dredd, he's the law.
A little bit of a RoboCop too in there.
Yeah, that maybe all of the above. Maybe they put all that in there.
Yeah, because this was a new character design they mentioned as well. Cable's like, oh, even he got an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but when the shit hits the fan and the battle kicks off. That's when Armor and Longshot are like hauled off to go stop Gideon. And when they open when they're able to break the door open, we see all the psychics have busted out. We see the Shining Twins there as well. So that was a nice little touch.
That was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, who knows how they're gonna get out of this? I mean, I imagine Armor can easily. Well, who knows? I mean, they're dealing with a bunch of psychics, and Dupe is out. So the stakes are at least raised going in. I mean, what a cliffhanger. It's definitely a cliffhanger. Everything leading up to it. The more I talk about it, the more I'm having a little bit more fun with it. But that panel, man, I couldn't believe it. Dumb. I Spy editorial problem.
Yes, man.
But it'll be cool to see I'm assuming we are going to bring both warring sides together as far as the externals and the newer mutants go.
The newest mutants. Yeah, I think that in the end it's going to have to be a team up.
Yeah. That's really all I have. I mean, yeah, I'm still torn on how I feel about this issue. I don't know.
I can clearly and honestly understand why, especially with that glaring mistake. I mean, that kind of hurts me a little bit now.
I think it's possibly like the pacing. Maybe that's what it is. Because we are like all over the place. We are like trying to catch up with the externals and what they're doing, which we haven't necessarily got much of.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
That we didn't get much of them, and
I thought it was kind of cool that with this issue they had that scene where we're like, okay, we see Cable and his team investigate what's going on.
At least what are they? Yeah,
Let's see what the externals are. But that was kind of cool. And I kind of thought for a moment that that was going to be most of the issue when they went to the externals. I was like, okay, we're going to spend a couple of pages with them hearing them theorize and everything, and then we're going to catch back up with Cable and them. But I mean, that's not exactly what happened. But
no, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, we'll probably end up bringing both teams together, or we'll see more of the externals doing their own little investigation. Because essentially, I mean, at this point, they just have to, I would assume, try and. I'm not sure how they can. I mean, we're still not sure how they can piece this together to pin it on Gideon. But because we're not sure exactly where they're going either.
No, well, we have no idea where they're heading.
Let me see something real quick. Let's see if I can piece together a couple panels. Because when she opens the portal, we do see mountains. So I was trying to page back to.
Stop.
What's up?
Stop. Are you ready?
What's up?
She makes a comment, like you said, that part where you're saying, while you were saying, I was reading it, and she does tell them to light the cabin on fire and everything, and then let's go. We head to Colorado.
I'll leave Colorado in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Look at me, I am off my game. See, this is what happens when we have to do 7 books.
Hey,
cram, because again, for people who are listening, we are recording some little not necessarily out of order, but just splitting up the recording. So we both probably cram these books in Wednesday. I read.
You speak for yourself. I'm a professional. All right.
Oh, so you read it this morning?
I am extraordinarily good at my job. Dare you?
But yeah, I think that's all I really have for Cable. I just wasn't super excited for this issue, I guess.
Yeah, it was. This could have been really terrible. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like pulse pounding. Like they wanted to have that scene in there that really made you like, oh my goodness, they're in a battle, they're trapped in this lair, and it ended like that. Like when that scene ended, you did kind of feel like, oh my goodness, they're trapped in a hallway full of powerful psychics.
Yeah.
But overall, the issue didn't have that feel to it.
That oomph.
Yeah, it didn't. You weren't excited moving from scene to scene. Like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? Oh my goodness! There wasn't an oh my goodness of each development.
Right. It's definitely taken that slow burn, like detective approach. Things aren't going to be resolved and given to us very easily. I think, which I'm fine with. It keeps me wanting to come back. But I think it's a little bit of a downer issue for me. Not bad, but from what from where we started so far, and based on my score that I give it, you'll see where this ranks with everything else this week. But what you got anything else, or you want to go ahead and give your score on this?
I'm gonna give my score, but before I give it, I'm hoping that this is the issue that's revving up into the excitement. Like, I hope this is like preparing us in this. Like you just said, it's been a slow burn. I hope that this is slowly burning up. This is the build up to that payoff, and I'm hoping the next issue is where it crescendos and it starts paying off with the action and everything.
Yeah, and I think if we had a lot more, if we had obviously read externals and we were more familiar with the with that
all the characters,
those characters, exactly.
Yeah, we
would be probably able to theorize a lot more. I'm sure other people out there are super familiar. Super familiar with them, and if you're listening to this. So unfortunately, we're not too familiar, so some of the stuff is going over our head. So that could be a factor as well, I think, for me at least, that since I don't have a background in this, these characters, it's the issue feels somewhat light for me. But yeah, what was your score, though?
My score for the issue is actually going to be 7.5. This was not a terrible issue for me. It was not as exciting as I would have hoped it would have been, especially with the developments that are coming about now. It was good to finally get a face with who's doing this, and it was interesting to find out that it's another external, which explains a lot of stuff. And the action they had was pretty good. I mean, it was good to see Armor start to do something and play a part. It was good, like you were saying earlier, it was good to see everybody is playing a role, and they're actually working pretty well together as a team.
Exactly, yep.
And art wasn't too bad. I am with you with that flub that I felt was there but didn't notice. So 7.5. I'm still going to 7.5,
Okay.
even with the flub.
Yeah, even with the flub, I'm going to go a little bit lower than you. I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
I think if I had more of a background in a lot of these characters, I would be able to, we'd be able to talk about it more, I think, and theorize about, kind of stuff that's going on. I'm sure maybe something that happened in the externals may come up in the conclusion of this. And
Probably.
it just may be over our heads. And whoever listening there is like, God damn it, go back and read the externals, which I'm going to.
What's funny? That person who's saying that, I feel like for them, this was probably an amazing issue because of because of Gideon. I feel like Gideon was supposed to be a huge reveal for those who know about the externals. I feel like if you read about the externals and you see Gideon in here, you're like, oh my goodness, it's
He's
Gideon.
still alive, yeah.
He's still alive. Like, I think that's what that was.
And they're probably questioning how now. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, the art... I think... I think it was lacking for... I wish I could pull up... I don't think I have it on the...
It almost feels like...
Actually,
for the most part, while you're doing that, it almost feels kind of like some of the art that's been in the last few issues, but it does feel like they made more of an attempt this issue, maybe because Gideon is back, maybe because they're digging so much into, Rob Liefeld's grab bag. They chose to make the art look a little bit more like his, like maybe... I don't want to say imitating his art, but maybe they were trying to pay homage to his art.
Right.
So they were using his characters. Maybe this was the artist was like, you know what, I want to pay some respect to him from an artistic standpoint because the writer is paying respects from a writing standpoint. So maybe that's what it is, because it does resemble a lot of the elements in here resemble Rob Liefeld, especially the time and frame where the externals were probably popular people.
Yeah, I'm paging through the last issue now. And Armor, remember those guards that were in the last issue that Wolverine chopped up?
Yeah.
They kind of have the same sort of design as Eve or Adam's helmet that he was wearing in this. So they definitely are kind of doing that. I mean, it is that 90s style. A lot of the same characters look, not the characters, a lot of the side characters of the evil people look the same.
Look similar, yeah.
Type of deal. But I think it's the colors that are a little more different in the in this new issue when I'm comparing it. Yeah,
because they're not jumping out as much.
They're not jumping out exactly,
which is weird considering that when you're dealing with Gideon and Cable's team, they're pretty much stuck in a facility that's like pretty much all white and monotone chrome. Mm-hmm. So you would think that anything color would like just jump off the page, and it kind of doesn't. It's just kind of there.
Yeah, and those digital lines are like that kind of pencil-esque but digital. It still kind of bothers me a little bit, because some of the stuff, like when they enter the into the bunker, and you're seeing like the hallway of the bunker. The line work is completely like lost. It's when not Gideon, but Eve is talking. And it's like the panel next to her. You see the hallway in them. It's completely lost. But I'm going to stick with the 7 though. Still, and we'll see how this. I think this might have been the lowest score we gave this one.
I don't remember
this arc,
quite.
At least.
I know what you mean. I don't remember what we gave it, but it could quite possibly be because we both were enjoying what was going on in the series. So this could have been.
Could have been. Well, let's stop rambling. And what are we talking about next, Danger?
Weapon X number 12, written by Greg Pak with art from Yildiray Cinar and Frank D'Armata with letterer Joe Caramagna.
Warpath gets an emergency call from an old friend, telling him how mutants are being rounded up by a militia in a nearby village. The team goes to rescue the mutants at the nearby holding cell, and Sabretooth stumbles upon the manufacturing warehouse producing the infamous red, white, and blue pills, which trigger violent rage and other symptoms. For some unknown reason, the militia is keeping Nuke locked away, and we've replaced a Grey Doomsday Hulk for a steroid-bred musclehead. Someone give this guy a Marlboro Red.
Well, we're finally here. We are in the next phase of Weapon X, and I'm kind of surprised that we're pulling Nuke out. Even though when I saw the cover last time, I figured it was going to have something to do with Nuke.
Yeah, with the face paint.
With the faceplate, yeah. Which is funny for me because the last time I saw Nuke as a reader was one of the first few issues. Matter of fact, it might have been the first issue of the Death of Wolverine, where he went after 616 Wolverine because he heard he was dying or he heard he could be killed, and promptly got destroyed. If you want to see a funny fight scene, go back and read that. Just that first issue. That fight scene between those two was hilarious.
Yeah, my only experience with Nuke has been through Frank Miller's Daredevil.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then Nuke's not really. I mean,
at least during Frank Miller's portrayal, he was just off the wall bunkers, just hopped up on steroids and violent pills.
Yeah, that's Nuke.
Yep.
No, like that's the character. You literally just summed up the character. So I mean, there really wasn't. I mean, there wasn't too much here in the book. It was nice that somebody on the team we see does have a heart. That was nice to see that. It was also nice to kind of see some confirmation of that whole thing I was talking about between Domino and Warpath.
Yeah,
but I mean, other than that, though, that was really it. We needed a way to get the team together. We got them down in South America. There's a Nuke army down there. I mean,
yeah, very quick read. I mean, point A to point B.
Point A to point B.
Nothing in between, really.
Yeah, not a lot really in between that. It's just, hey, here are the guys. This is going on. Get to South America, and end the book with Sabretooth in a room with Nuke.
Yeah, for some unknown reason, not sure why they were keeping him locked away. I don't know.
Same here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it this. I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
That it is. This is kind of more what I was expecting the series to do. Is you deal with characters that are related to the team or somebody on the team, as opposed to doing whole arcs where it's all new characters, and the arc is just meant to introduce that character and set them up for their own solo book.
Yeah, 12 issues in now, and we're finally getting original. I mean, I can't really say original arc, but because technically Weapon H was an original arc, but this is just more straightforward, I guess, but still dry. Still dry as ever.
But it's better to see, like, okay, here we're going to do like these 2 or 3 issues we're going to deal with Nuke, and then maybe these 2 or 3 issues we're deal with like the Reavers, or just bring out something that relates to the team or 1 or 2 people on the team. And I mean, you got some of the most violent killers in the Marvel universe, especially in the X universe. Definitely, like almost all the most violent people on this one team. There's a lot you can do there. There's a lot of history there's a lot of people they've hurt and a lot of stuff they've done and been through all of their respective histories that you could bring back some very interesting characters and do some stuff with. Now, maybe it might have been wiser to start off by using somebody, I don't want to say as lame, but somebody as lower on the totem pole as Nuke, because then you can just kind of step up from there. I'm not really sure. I can't think of a villain that you can kind of go lower than Nuke. Yeah, he's strong, like you said, he's a steroid head.
That would fit the character, or fit the team. I can't think of anyone.
Yeah,
I mean, Nuke is a perfect fit. I mean, with obviously the militia and then the Weapon X being a task force, pretty much, an unsaid task force. But yeah, I mean, art was much better, I thought. Not didn't have that 3D glossy model look. We're getting more back to the comic book art, which I dug. And there was a cool little focus on Warpath, at least. He seemed to get most. I mean, him and Sabretooth, obviously. Well, Sabretooth got most of the screen time, but there was a little bit of focus on Warpath, which was cool to see.
Warpath's focus was good because it was there to show you that somebody on this team does have an outspoken heart.
Yeah.
Because Old Man Logan is the only other person on the team that kind of has a heart,
and but he's not as a leader too.
Yeah, they really made a point to make sure that that Old Man Logan is the leader of this team.
Oh no, I meant Warpath.
No, Old Man Logan is the leader of the team. Warpath is the outspoken young guy on the team. The Sabretooth is the hothead that doesn't want to follow rules on the team.
Wild child, yeah.
Yeah.
Still dealing with his emotions.
Domino is the explosive and weapons expert, and then Deathstrike is like the probably the lead fighter. You see how this broke everybody down like an action movie team?
Yep.
But that's the role that everybody fits on the team. That's why, like, Warpath, he's not the leader, but he's going to be the heart of the team. He's going to be the moral compass. Is going to try to lead them, if you will, to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I can't really consider personally. I can't consider Old Man Logan a leader right
He's a
now,
leader.
based on this issue. I mean, he might be titled the leader, but I think if that's the case, Warpath needs to, chop him off the totem pole and take that spot.
They honestly only went down there because Old Man Logan was like, "Yeah, we should go."
Oh, I'm sure Warpath would have gone.
Well, Warpath would have gone, but see, that's why he's the young, outspoken guy on the team. The young, outspoken guy on the team is going to go regardless.
Just dragging everyone else with you.
Yeah.
Hey, at least we found something to talk about with this book inside of the point A to point B plot so far. Yeah, I mean, I'll give him credit at least for having some. It's not original, but I guess for at least getting back to a mutant threat to go along with the characters we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Jokes still didn't land for me. Still, there's a lot of wooden dialogue as well. And some questionable cliche dialogue as well. When Sabretooth is running through the building and he goes, busts open the door and there's the scientist or one of the workers standing there. And he's like, "Hey, you can't," and he like stops, but like, "You can't be back here." And it's like, no, come on. Like you said, we've been saying this for a while since we've been covering this book, but yeah, it's a very action movie style of a team.
Exactly, that's what it is. That's why when I just broke everybody down, I had to break it down as action movie cliches because that's what this is. If you like, I think that might be the issue. If you're reading this book as a regular, like if this is your book, you're going to read every month. If you're going to read Weapon X every time it comes out, you really need to be a fan of like 80s/90s action movies because they're for the most part following that. So if that's your thing, then you're going to really enjoy Weapon X because you're going to see those elements in this book.
Mm-hmm. And while I do like seeing me and you both are huge action fans. While I do like seeing it, I still think there's not a lot to the story so far, and just to have Nuke there at the end didn't really seem like a earned cliffhanger.
It was considering going into the book, I knew that Nuke was in here somewhere. And then to see that, okay, these guys are manufacturing the drug that Nuke takes. I figured at some point when we saw that Nuke wasn't actually leading the team, the Team Nuke, which is pretty much what they require, or the Nuke Squad or whatever, I expected some kind of cliffhanger to end it with like Nuke being somewhere. Because it didn't make sense for him to not actually be lead. He's not the type of dude that would have a team named the Nuke Squad and not actually be trying to lead them. So for me, I mean, I saw it coming, but it was an earned cliffhanger for what it was. Now, I am curious to see why he's in the cell.
Same.
Because that part
do now. I mean, that's kind of the exciting part, yeah.
And whether or not Sabretooth's going to give him the pills. Because for a moment, Sabretooth's about to take the pills.
Yeah, he was. I think that's probably why he searched out for him. He's like, I know they're around here. I need to get jacked up so I can wipe all these dudes out real quick.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I took it.
That's how I took it too. And he knows what the red pill does, but he doesn't know what the white or the blue pill does. So he's like, yeah, I need to know now. What I think is funny though is that I said the last time I saw Nuke, comic book wise, was in that Wolverine. But the last time me and you both actually saw Nuke was on was that Jessica Jones?
Jessica Jones, yep. Mm-hmm.
Jessica Jones. That's the last time we saw.
I thought.
You thought it was a pretty good portrayal?
Yeah.
I did too. It actually kind of made me want to see something done with the character.
Same, man. I think bringing Nuke into here could at least bring somewhat of a spark to the series. I'm still not on board with this series. I think it's definitely better than what we've gotten. But yeah, hopefully, bringing Nuke on board could bring some. I want to see his interactions with everyone else, especially a Domino. Probably the most interesting conversation to be had, I think.
No, I want to see his reaction with Old Man Logan.
Oh yeah, because of their background, right?
Because of their background, and because, like I said, the last time in the comics I saw him, he was fighting younger Wolverine, and yeah.
So
So
I'm
I
wondering
want
if
to see.
this.
I want to see that even gets mentioned.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this old man Logan actually knows who Nuke is.
That too.
Yeah.
Does he have a version of Nuke in his universe?
I can't remember if he ever showed up in Old Man Logan. It's been a while since I've read it. I feel like he did for some reason, but I could be totally wrong. I'll look into that later. But yeah, you got anything else on this really? Again, not a lot. Not a lot here.
Yeah, not a lot.
What's gonna be your score then?
I'm gonna go 5.5 this week. I think that this could possibly be the step in the right direction for the series. If they're going to start bringing in these other characters, and even if he is the maybe the lead up to the reason why other characters will be brought in, I think it could work. So yeah, I'm gonna go 5.5 this week.
Okay. Yeah, it was a little higher than you. I'm still thinking, kind of after talking about it. Yeah, I'm going to sit with you as well. I'm a 5.5 this week. Because I at least want to see. It has me interested enough to at least see what Nuke's involvement in all this is going to be. If we're going to take it to the next level of action movie. What's the Expendables? Maybe we'll get a Expendables deal out of this whole thing. A bunch of fireworks and, play a bloody mess possibly. And more cliche movie dialogue tropes. Bring it on. Why not? I'm used to it. So bring it on. 5.5. But cool. Other than that, let's go ahead and move on to our next book. And what are we talking about next, Danger?
All New Wolverine number 28. I bet you didn't think you'd see me this week. Written by Tom Taylor with art from Juan Cabal and Nolan Woodard with letterer Corey Petit.
After regrouping on the beach, Laura and the rest of the gang decide that they need to try to find help. After being attacked by the Orphans of X, they realize that they've actually weaponized the Muramasa sword. And after making it to Japan, the team actually catches up with Muramasa and figures out a way to possibly defeat or actually prevent the sword from hurting them.
Well, I still pee myself every time Orphans X come on the page.
yeah, the excitement, right?
Well, no, I'm scared of them. But no, overall though, another well plotted and great sequence of scenes. Especially speaking of Orphans X, the opening page is that the little quick scene with them, the two Orphans X, and it was like a very emotional love moment between the two. Even though they're still evil as all hell, and they're plotting their revenge, but there was still something so sweet about it. Although dark as hell,
Oh, it was. That's exactly it. But you didn't catch what they did with the artwork, did you?
I did not.
The
strand, like the DNA strands type of deal.
Oh, it's the molecules, because they had to figure out how to bond it to make it into a bullet, and the art literally is like molecules being bonded. Yes,
beautiful. Yeah, the art. Whew. Yeah, the artwork is still top notch throughout this arc so far, and it portrays. I mean, you heard us gush about it last time. Rob even gave the last issue a 10 on the website. That's how ecstatic he was about it, and there's a reason why. But yeah, there's still although there's not a lot in here to necessarily move along the story, but there's still so much to take away from every scene and issue so far. The Orphans X still being ruthless. Gabby, and we'll get to her later. Trust me. The whole meditation, the shield that we see at the end to defend.
Oh, okay. You're getting into all the juicy stuff now. Now you're getting into it all.
Yeah, across the board, just amazing issue. What were some of your overall thoughts before we really dive in?
Bravo. First of all, me and you have talked off air and on air before about how much we've been loving All New Wolverine. It's been an amazing series, and every time we get to a new arc, something glorious happens. There's always something really good nugget of storytelling in there.
Mm-hmm.
This Orphans of X arc, though, has been amazing, and I think this has been one of the few arcs. Cause how many issues are we in now for Orphans of X? This is the third issue?
I believe third.
Or
4.
The fourth. This is the fourth. Think about that. We've done a lot between our shows where we've done we've done series that have a overarching arc, and we're get to issue 3 and we're like, this is still good. Then we get to issue 4 and we're like, okay, now it's getting bad. We're at issue 4 of this, and every single issue in this Orphans of X we have loved.
Mm-hmm.
Every single issue in here moves the story along, adds something new, makes you even more afraid of what the orphans are going to do or what they're even capable of, and makes you actually feel like they are a massive threat to the let's just say the Wolverines. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This did not let that down. This was amazing. This issue was amazing overall, and my goodness,
they
man,
didn't get a chance to rest, because as soon as they're sitting on the beach, you see the helicopters. I was like, oh, cool, they're about to get their ride. Nope,
not your ride.
Shots fired, missiles fired, I should say, with the Miramosa, molecules in the form of it in it. It's beautiful, and she even pulls out the sniper to try to get some headshots. And luckily enough, I love the fact that Laura was smart enough to retrieve the bullet.
Yes.
And poor Dakin, though, he has been through so much.
Which he comments on, he's like, yeah, I've been stabbed today, and it's probably not going to be the last time I get stabbed.
Go and put another hole in me. Whatever you need to do to hopefully not, make sure this doesn't spread throughout the whole body. So paying attention to detail. And then Foxy Brown shows up in this issue. Foxy motherfucking Brown. A.K.A. our very own Danger.
Danger!
That was...
with the appearance!
That was a great appearance. And, continuity aside, there's a lot of continuity issues this week with these X-Men books. Like when we were talking to Rob Friday when we were recording, we were like, there needs to be repercussions throughout the entire line of X books. Obviously, especially at this point in time, in these past couple weeks, and this week alone, there needs to be some sort of strains throughout the entire series. And that's what editorial, I feel, especially when you have 7. I understand you have a good amount of books, but you should be able to at least make sure everyone's lined up so it all just feels like a connected line of books, opposed to everything that you don't know. No one really answers when this takes place. Like, I've asked Dennis Hopus and Colin Bunn, no response on that end.
Nobody knows.
Nobody. That's what I'm thinking. Nobody. Maybe that's just it. Nobody knows, or they just don't want to. Editorial just doesn't want to fix that, and they're like, "We're too late in the game. Just go with it." But I get off subject.
With that being said, I'm not upset wherever this takes place in continuity because Danger is here.
The Danger's here.
That was an awesome surprise.
Very awesome. Then when she comes down, I can't remember the name of the Erykah Badu album, but I just pictured the Erykah Badu album plus Foxy Brown walking in. I'm Danger, and then that's where we lead into. I'll let you take this one.
Oh yeah, that's where we lead into some awesome little segment with Gabby. Like, that whole section with Gabby was awesome because that's where she asked her about her name. It was like, "Is your name Danger?" She's like, "Yeah, it's Danger." Like, "My middle name is Danger." She's like, "No, my name's just Danger." She's like, "That's so awesome. I need a code name." And we've been saying this since the outfit changed and since she started going on missions with Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Gabby needs a code name.
Yep.
And Dakin comes through in the clutch and says that her code name from here on out should be Honey Badger. And she asks, "Why Honey Badger?" And his response is, "Because you're sweet and you have claws." And she's like, "Yep, that's it. I'm Honey Badger."
That's it.
And
Perfect.
that panel of her fantasizing about she's got a hero name now,
and
it's
line of books now.
And it's like all these Wolverine books were placed with Honey Badger.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the book, is that panel right there.
Yeah,
she's like,
the whole
perfect.
transition of that, of the name coming to fruition. The art speaks volumes there to really help elevate it and build a foundation around it. as far as the name goes, I think it's going to grow on me. I don't love it, but I think it's going to grow on me, though.
You know what? For a brief moment when he said it, he said honey badger, and I was like, honey badger, that's what we're going to go with. But when he said, you're sweet and you have claws, I literally went along with her and was like, that's actually a pretty cool name for her.
Yeah, it's funny because I think Laura was about to say, that's stupid, but Gabby's like, no, perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good lead in. Excuse me, good lead into all of that. Good danger, then into the name Honey Badger being formed. Just brilliant writing. Really, really great use of everything here. But what else?
Tokyo.
I didn't see the. Yeah, let's go into Tokyo. We'll save that last cliffhanger.
Let's save that. We have to save that for last because wow.
Yeah, because we'll get to Tokyo, which is cool because unfortunately, it's smartly played because they're like, Gabby's like, hey, why can't Danger hang out with us? She was like, no, they'll be able to track her and all that jazz. I was like, yep, smart move.
Good move.
I'm glad Danger was kind of in the area, maybe at the school. I'm assuming not the school, but the Madripoor Mansion. Probably hanging out.
If you remember, originally that's what they were trying to get to. Laura was trying to get them to Madripoor when they were attacked, and then she's like, "Yeah, we can't go to Madripoor.
Gotta call a friend."
Yeah.
Boom. It's the good stuff. But yeah, Tokyo. What were some of your thoughts on that whole scene?
Well, I don't think you noticed it. You're probably not gonna notice it until I say it. But Dakin had a wardrobe change from flying in danger to making it to the sewers of Tokyo.
Yeah. Yep, he's rocking the jacket.
He's rocking one of his dad's old outfits.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, that's the outfit from the early 2000s all new X-Men run when they had those the leather outfits. Yeah, so I thought it was kind of cool to see he's rocking that. And him and Gabby, his conversation with Gabby has been like one of the highlights of the last couple issues for me. Like, just he humors her so much, but at the same time he's kind of like this kid.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't overdone in the last issue to really give us more of it in this issue to really have a lot of fun. Again, this book is really fun to read, and like you're saying with Gabby and Dakin, it's like her and Deadpool.
Yes.
When she has someone else who can crack jokes with her or be silly with, she's gonna roll with it, and they're gonna be her best friend.
But it's really funny when you get to the sewer part though, because this is the part where he's trying to be a little serious. He's like, look, we can't go up there because this, and this. And she's like, we need code names. Yeah, code names. And then she starts coming with like backstories. Like, we don't need backstories. And she's like, don't ruin my dreams.
That's right. Because then we go see, isn't it, how I always forget how you pronounce it, Miramosa, right?
Yes, Miramosa.
So that was a cool little conversation and a wardrobe change for them. Because I tried to look up who Flora Ramsey was. We couldn't really find anything.
I told you what my theory was, and what you found fits my theory.
The whole something to do with Gordon Ramsay, possibly.
Yeah.
Not sure, but I just figured based on the whole wardrobe change, maybe like some kind of clothing artist or something like that.
Well, they are also in Tokyo though, so I mean,
true that. Who knows? But it was a cool conversation between the two. Gabby's still making jokes. She's like, I'm Fleur, and Laura's like, this is Gabby. And they already know who Dakin is as well, and they have to.
Oh yes, they do.
Yeah, they have to figure out how to go on the offense of this, and that's when we get this badass shield, which is made of use of parts of Logan that he makes a point to drop on us, which is really that whole panel right there when they're showing the shield, like the color usage, like the reflections, like the blue alone.
The blue, I'm about to say, the blue by itself made that thing look like that's shield.
That's all you're looking at. Like that is the focus of the panel, which is beautiful. And the shield is just, I love this art so much, so much.
Yes.
But yeah, what else? What are some of your other thoughts?
Well, when he breaks the shield out, and he's talking about, well, they've changed what my weapon was, because the point of the shield was he made the sword. The sword was also made from part of Wolverine's soul.
Mm-hmm.
and he knew that it could be dangerous because of what that sword can do. So he needed something that could counteract the sword, which was the shield, which is yet again, like you said, made from some Wolverine soap. But the thing is they realized, like, yeah, they've changed what the sword is now, so a shield's not going to do pretty good. It's not going to really protect your head and your legs. You know, you're going to have something exposed.
Yep.
So they're trying to figure out how to recreate this in a different way. And instantly he's like, well, I can protect one person. I can come up with which is probably some armor. I'm willing to bet it's going to be armor. He says, you know, I can come up with something that can protect one person. And instantly, Gabby jumps up like me. I'll do it. Me. And especially, and it was funny her comment when he's like, "What? I'm gonna have to take a piece from you. You guys are gonna have to lose a little bit." And she's like, "Oh, I'll do it. We're pretty good at that."
Oh yeah, we know all about that.
We know all about loss. But his response to Dakin when he was like, "Yeah, I can't do anything with you because you're still broken. You're not fixed yet. You're not quite all the way there yet. And what's wrong with you is it's not your arm, it's your head." Which leads into another one of my favorite scenes in this book.
Yes.
Which was that meditation scene.
Yep. Beautiful.
And you have Dakin, beautiful color work, beautiful layout. Everything about it was beautiful. Like the dialogue, everything was perfect because you have Dakin meditating, and in the background, it's supposed to be, which is weird. They're doing this. The art, I got to see who did the art on this book again. But whenever possible, he chose to do things from like a scientific or a medical level because the back of the book, the background is his regeneration on like the cellular level, and then the actual part of him meditating, you start actually seeing like the veins form, the bone form, the muscle, and he starts getting skin until he's whole again. That was perfectly drawn, perfectly illustrated, and just everything about that page was just amazing. That was beautiful. Amazing. And then how he's like, breathe.
That's a poster right there.
It is a poster. I was going to say that's a poster. But that gives us a whole Dakin. Dakin is back, which yet again leads to Gabby with a hilarious comment because she notices after he heals, they go for a walk through the yard or whatever, and she notices Dakin's left arm, which has regenerated, has the tattoo on it again, and she's just like, "Do you keep a tattoo? It's like on standby or something?" And I've always wondered that about Dakin because Dakin will lose an arm and then it'll grow back and the tattoo is still there, and it's like I don't know how that works.
They do say days later, so maybe he hit up a tattoo shop.
He could. He's like, this is what I need.
Yep, healed up and everything. No bandage needed.
Oh man.
But yeah, then we get to the. I know we're kind of breaking it down, so to say. We
have to with this, but we have to. This was such a good book. There's so much.
This is essentially the cliffhanger of the issue because we go back to the Orphans of X and we see their meeting, and they already know that they've escaped to Japan. So like, yep, go ahead and notify our people there, make sure they're on top of that. So again, establishing that Orphans of X, you can't escape them. They know they have people everywhere, and you're screwed. Pretty much until you kill them. You can't. You're gonna have to keep running. Essentially, that's what makes them so fierce.
Which is what Miramasa said. He said you can either go underground and keep running forever, or you can die.
Yep, exactly. So he even knows himself. He's like, y'all need to find. We're gonna try to help you out. We're gonna try, but we can't make promises.
And this little scene when we get back to Orphans of X made me wonder something about the beginning of the book. In the beginning of the book, I figured that they were just trying to figure out how to actually weaponize what was left of the blade, right? So they made some bullets. So originally, I thought that case that the sniper had was the bullets, all the bullets they had. But then they pull out like 3 guns here with a bunch of bullets. I'm like, did they figure out how to? Did they figure out how to reproduce the metal itself?
They have to have at this point.
Do you know how dangerous that makes them? If they took something that was one of a kind, once this sword is gone, the sword is gone, and they found a way to reproduce this thing like in the laboratory to where they can just keep making bullets and weapons that are of this kind of metal now,
and which is smart.
That is scary.
And which is smart because now we know even when this arc ends, there are still going to be bullets floating around, depending on how much is manufactured. There's still people are going to get it on the black market somehow. It's going to be sold, and that could be set for a really cool arc down the line in an Avengers book, another X-Men book type of deal.
Yeah, because what if they have this stuff that can like? I'm not saying that it can because no one's explored this yet. But what if it turns out this blade can like shatter vibranium?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Think about that. Yeah.
And Tom King is not Tom King. Buddy, Tom Taylor. Excuse me. He is doing so much with this. He's obviously telling a great story and also just establishing things himself or people, other writers down the road can play around with. He's establishing so much just within this.
I can play around with this. Like, my goodness.
Call us up. But yeah, we see the Orphans X. They are, about to slaughter these 3 people. We're not sure who they are. But I do want to comment on that scene real quick where you see like everyone surrounding the podium, not podium, well, podium for the most part. The Orphans X symbol.
The X stage.
The X stage, yeah. X Factor. Yeah, the stage is set, and there are 3 people about to be executed by people of Orphans X who have decided, I'm ready to take the next step. We have these people in custody. Let's do this. And again, spoilers if you have not read this book.
Wait a minute.
What's up?
Before you get to that spoiler part, they also make the comment that now that they have the weapon, now that they are ready to attack them, there's no need for the mask.
Yes. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Because they're like, let me see. Let's see those faces, everyone.
and they actually made a point. It looks like they picked 3 people who, for whatever reason, I guess were the ones that were possibly the most hurt by the Wolverines, which is saying a lot because you see one of the kids or one of the ladies that takes the mask off is deformed, like she was in a fire or something. So it's saying a lot that they picked these people, and it makes me wonder now that I think about it, if these people are directly, let's get to it because I think that's what it is. Okay. Go ahead and get to the spoiler. I think that's exactly what it is.
Cool. Well, in that point, essentially, they take off the mask of the people who they have shackled up and kneeling down, and it's Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, and Logan. Okay, and I did not see this coming. I don't think anyone saw this coming.
Yep.
But they essentially get executed.
Yeah.
Logan, Sabretooth, and Lady Deathstrike. Obviously, we know they're not dead. Because because this goes back to me saying earlier, things need to be across the board when it comes to these titles, widespread. Because we know there's no stakes in it. You know what I mean? Like, we know they're going to come back, but if they're taken off the map on every other title for like a few issues, then it's like, at least we still know they'll come back, but at least it gives it more of that oomph to it, opposed to like, okay, well, that happened. Let's see them retrieve. Because I mean, obviously they have healing powers as well. But some of your thoughts, man.
Did not see this coming. I instantly, because I read this after Weapon X, and I was like, okay, so maybe this is like in the future of Weapon X because they got all 3 of these together. I was wondering about the people that were chosen to kill them, and I was thinking that maybe they were each somebody that each one of them had affected some way. You like, because they talk about no more losing family members, no more being left for dead, and all these other things. And I was thinking like, because the one old dude's like is like an older Japanese man, and so at first I was thinking, that's somebody that Logan ran across during like World War II or something. But I'm like, well, no, that could be something that Deathstrike did when she was in Japan. And I'm just wondering if that's what it is. They chose these 3 because, hey, Sabretooth wronged you, Logan wronged you, Deathstrike wronged you. This is your chance to get the revenge you deserve.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out. And I actually, for once, like, I would say something like, I wish I could have saw how they got captured, but I didn't actually want to see how they got captured.
Nope, I don't want to see how they got captured.
No, it was delivered well enough for me. Came out of nowhere.
It certainly was, because at first I was confused because when I saw the panel where they were walking to the stage and I saw Deathstrike's jacket, all I saw was like, it looked like it was like yellow and blue from a distance. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not how they get Gabby. I thought they had Gabby at first.
Oh no!
And I'm like, how did that even happen? And then we flipped the page. I'm like, it was Deathstrike, Sabretooth, and Logan. Wait a minute, how they get Deathstrike, Sabretooth, and Logan? Are they holding them?
That's how good they are.
Yeah. which says a lot. That
Yeah.
says a lot. Even yet again, another reason why
I pee myself every time I see them.
yeah. Not only have they amassed this organization that's huge and been working undercover for all this time, they were able to capture Dakin. They were able to keep tabs on Laura, and apparently for as long as, from what I know, the last time I saw Laura's aunt before this arc, she was in that neighborhood, which means that the Orphans of X have had that neighborhood on lock since then. That was a while ago. That was way back when she was still X-23.
Right.
So they've managed to do that. They know about the Miramasa sword. They've got the sword. They weaponized the sword. They took out Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Like they took Captain Marvel out. Like they could have killed Captain Marvel, they didn't, but they took her out the game. They got the blades. They've weaponized the blades. They've possibly found a way to duplicate the metal used to make the blades, and they've just captured 3 of the most dangerous mutants on the planet. And not just captured, they look pretty beat up. So, yeah, Orphans of X, quite possibly one of my favorite villainous groups in the last 10 years or so. Like, goodness.
Hands down.
My goodness.
Orphans of X ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I just thought of something real quick. Dakin, it was funny when you brought up the surrogate mother to Laura. When Dakin's like hitting on her and
Laura's like, goodness, he was hitting her eyes.
Smile off your face.
She's like, "Are you okay? I appreciate you doing." He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. You know, it's not the first impression I want to make." And then Laura's like, "Dakin, take that charming smile off and stick it right back up your butt." Like,
and that's where the art comes back into play to like really enhance it, because you see like the little shimmer in his tooth. I was like, that's perfect.
And it was funny because when he did it, I was thinking the same, like, "Oh, Dakin's turning the charm on. He's turning it on." And then Laura comes in and shuts him down, like, "Yeah, don't even do it, Dakin."
Yeah, again, going back to the art, I mean, again, the use of the colors, it keeps me peeled every time. And it also has like this 70s kind of tone to it as well, which really helps.
I was going to say, when you said 70s, I'm like, it's probably the tone of the colors.
Yes, for sure. And Foxy Brown, man. Foxy Brown Danger.
Yes.
Look at that. That was awesome. That was fucking great.
Came in with the hand on the hip.
Coming in hot.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully, the only thing I would ding it for is let's get more forward into here. I mean, 4 issues in now. Let's see how this all wraps up, and let's see how it wraps up. I hope it's a strong, very, very strong delivery in the end.
You and me both, my friend.
And I can't wait. So what's gonna be your score for all new?
Oh, no! I scored the last book. This one is you.
All right. After talking about it, I'm gonna give it a 9.5. Sticking with my 9.5 for now.
Okay.
It's doing everything right. I would have liked a little bit more, because I'm stingy.
Okay, all right. Well, it's funny because the moment we even remotely said, so the moment Danger said all new Wolverine, I was automatically at 9.5. Yeah, this has been doing everything right, like you said. Art's been wonderful. I mean, especially the last 2 issues. These last 2 issues, we've had something where there was some extra detail put into the art. Mm-hmm. Because the last issue was the use of the red on the page when he got mad.
Yes.
And we were talking about, how we use it for the emotion. In this issue, it's the fact that they decided to do the stuff from like a molecular scale.
Mm-hmm.
So that opening panel and then the panel of Dakin regenerating, like those 2 specific were like really strong points for me. On top of that, I love Gabby's Honey Badger page. I love the fact that she has a name now. I like the fact that they finally have met up with Miramasa, and that we could possibly have a counter weapon, which is I'm still going for a suit of armor.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be real dope.
I'm going for a suit of armor. I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like a samurai suit or something. That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing. They're just chopping everyone down.
But with and then the Orphans of X, we've managed to each issue make the Orphans of X even more dangerous and scary of every issue, and they ended terrifying in this issue. So 9.5, and that's only because you know how I feel about giving any issue a straight 10. Like I really, especially if it's a series.
I want to give it. I really want to give it.
I know.
10. I do.
I want to.
I do,
Oh,
but I have to hold out until the end. I have.
I don't want to say a 10, and then we get to the next issue or the next two issues, and it's like, oh yeah, the following issue was a 7, and then it ended on like a 2. Like I would hate to do that, so that's why I don't want to do 10. That's why I don't. But I think we're both there. We're both right there.
That being said, go ahead and get us out of here, Danger.
Jean Grey number 10, written by Dennis Hopeless with art from Alberto Albuquerque and J. David Ramos with letterer Travis Lanham.
The team attempts to stand their ground against Phoenix, but there's still no match for the Furious Force. Jean uses her strength to take on Phoenix head first. Her transformation over the series comes into play, giving her the courage to end this. Ready for the twist? The Phoenix never wanted her body as a host, but simply to wipe her off the map. It's getting a little hot in here. Oh wait, it's just Jean's body, burned to a crisp.
Oh my goodness, they burnt young Jean to a crisp. This is wild. I know that normally I would just kind of go through what your review was, but let's just get straight to it. They, for all intents and purposes, right now have killed young Jean. I mean, yes, we know that the Phoenix Resurrection is coming, and this does tell us that this is not the last issue of the series, so we know that young Jean is not really dead.
Well,
but to end the book,
just yet.
Well, you got a point. 11 could be the funeral for young Jean. But the point is,
that would be such a sad ending if they go that route.
If that really funeral. Was, if they would it be crazy if they brought back.
I've been really praying for the triumph this whole time. It just felt right that we were coming to triumph, but
yeah, if she is dead, if they go the funeral route, I would actually appreciate that because we haven't. At least seen a funeral for a character, outside of Civil War. We know that was or Secret Empire or whatever. That's a different case. We know that was gonna be fixed. But this though, right. Like if young Jean is actually dead, one we need to wipe her off all the other books, or someone needs to explain to us the timeline of this all, because this whole week has been continuity. Squabbles.
Yeah. Continuity
Lord.
Shoved in the trash can this week.
Just nothing's adding up at this point. Nothing. So
that's what makes it hard. Is like I feel like I want to I genuinely am like, oh, like shit, she is dead. But like I also read Blue this week, so
right. Yeah, you're like, oh, she's right there.
Concerned.
And once we get into that, we'll get to Blue later. Boy. But yeah, I'm sorry. What were some of your overall thoughts, though, Alan?
I did enjoy well, first of all, before I get to what I enjoyed, let's get back to the fact that they did actually kill Jean. If they did kill young Jean, you know what this would probably tell us that the young X-Men indeed are not the young X-Men we think they are, and they are indeed from like a different parallel universe or something. Because right now we're all still thinking that there's a chance that these are the classic traditional 616 original X-Men teenagers, and if you kill Jean and nothing really happens, it doesn't really affect the time stream in any kind of way, then we know that these guys are, I don't want to say phonies, but they're phonies.
Right.
So that would be interesting to see if they do kill her and go the whole funeral route in the next issue. But what I did enjoy was the showdown with the Phoenix. Hope Summers, give us more hope.
Wow.
Yes.
I need more hope.
Although she doesn't get too much in here, but what she does do...
No, she got enough, though.
Yeah, she had enough.
Yeah.
I want
this whole team, like this whole cast would be so cool to just have in a book together.
I have to agree. This would be a pretty cool team to have together.
The new Heralds.
Yeah. Hope, when they get to the secret base that Cyclops had, like in, where was it? It was like in Alberta, Canada. When they got there, it was hilarious because she's like, oh yeah, he's a Summers, I'm a Summers, we're all paranoid, so there's got to be like satellite technology in here.
There was a lot of good stuff with her in this. Overall, they were like every character was really interesting. Even like Emma and the Cuckoos, it was very short lived. I feel their involvement, but it was still really exciting.
Exciting. A little bit of an impact to it.
It was. They held off the finish. It was cool when Emma was like, "Look, everybody link up. We're gonna do this now." and they just all linked. That was really a cool moment, and everyone slowly started burning out because it's the Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fiery, no pun intended, issue. Things are just rapid fire at this point. Like you were just saying, Alan, we see all the Cuckoos and Quentin on the ground, bleeding out of the nose, like they're
smoke coming out the ears.
Smoke coming out the ears. The horror was definitely there, and the sense of fear, I thought, throughout the entire issue for like the team.
Yeah,
they had no time to properly plan really, other than obviously Jean throughout her entire series, but just as this team together, they had no time to plan. So making their moves on the whim, I have to call them like the fearless freaks, really.
Was it me or did anybody else find it amazing when Hope gave Jean the side meter?
I was just going to say.
Yeah, and then she used it and it like knocked her off her feet. Like that made me laugh. I was like, man, that's crazy.
Even more that she just died because I want her to just have that as her weapon from now on.
Like, she doesn't need it because when she constructs the shield and the sword,
that was so cool.
That brings me to the art. It feels like this issue was changed last minute, so they had to get someone who could do something real quick, and that's what the art screams to me. It's like, yeah, we had to change things around. We had to call someone who could, crank this out for us real fast. And fortunately, I was not. I'm torn on the art. I'm not a huge fan of it. Alan, it reminds me of that, like the Spider-Man Homecoming comic they did that we reviewed.
Yeah, it reminds me exactly of that. What's funny is it looks like they put way more effort into drawing the Phoenix Bird than everything else in the book.
Right.
Yeah.
Heavy detail.
And I'm curious. I'm not at the page right now, but there was one artist on this book, right?
Just one, yeah.
Okay, because once you get towards the end of the book, like the last couple of pages, the overall art kind of actually changes a little bit. Like it actually looks like, okay, we're going to put a little bit more effort, a little bit more detail into this than what we did the rest of the book.
Yeah, it was odd because some stuff like worked for me, like the Cuckoo stuff when they like linked up together. Like it kind of, although it was like kind of, I don't want to say generic, but like I said,
that's what I mean. It's like it works like so many things like the Phoenix, but yeah, there's something like not as like I don't even dislike this art. There's just something not as like influential as
powerful to
Ibanez.
it.
Like
coming off of Victor Ibanez.
Yeah,
it's like we're back to this already. Like why can't we keep an artist on here? Like what's going on?
This isn't the first time I've had this kind of experience with a book. I'm going to go back into my way back machine. It's the mid '90s, and your co-host me is actually reading Gen X, and he's loving this series and loves the artwork. And then we get about maybe halfway through the series, like I don't know, issue 20 something. I think it might have happened in, and the art completely changes to something a little generic. A little bit more kiddie-ish, if you will. And it's like you just said, you were spoiled with all this great stuff over here, and then to have this artwork. If this had been the artwork from the beginning, we may not have made any fuss about it at this point. If we'd had the same story, but just this artwork from issue 1 up to now, this just would have been another issue.
Been used to it, yeah.
But we were spoiled.
I think it's just timed up in an unfortunate way that like the more impactful issues, the ones that have more of like the juicy stuff in it, are the ones that he's not bet on when we started with him, and it's like set the standard. Like I keep thinking like this had just as much of like an impact, and not really. It's very different than the issue with Namor, but like the enjoyment and like the quality of entertainment and everything is like about the same. But if he were on this, then it probably would have been like easily the best issue no matter what. Like
that's a good point, and I wanted to make sure I let you make that statement before I stop you and correct you. On this show, he's forever known as freaking Namor. It's freaking Namor. He is no longer Namor in this show. It's freaking Namor. But you're right. That was like a very impactful issue. And, I mean, for the most part, this this kind of was. This should have been this and the last issue. The next issue should be the most impactful issues of the series.
Yeah,
Phoenix definitely has the most like detail and attention to the details, and that does show because I mean it is like fairly terrific. Like there's horror attached to that for sure in this, but then Jean has like giant bug eyes in the next panel. You know?
Oh yeah, the last 3 pages are probably the pages with the most detail, and the first one of those 3 is when Jean's actually getting burned up by the Phoenix.
Yeah,
like, that is amazing. That right there, poster.
When she's riding the Phoenix, I thought that looked great as well.
It did too. But then the following page where we see everybody laid out, the aftermath and is separated. The panels are separated by the Phoenix.
Those are the panels I actually liked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These are the ones I'm saying where there was more effort put into it, and you could tell because they're the better pages.
But and that last page with just her little pieces of her uniform floating, I'm like,
with good old Jean.
Yeah, it felt very like 90s, even with the banner at the bottom where it's like, read Resurrection 1 through 5, but come back.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't seen that in a while. And like the clip, it is a very 90s cliffhanger as well with the art. I don't know, I just wish they would have kept Victor Ibanez on for these last 2 issues. I know he's doing issue 11, but still.
Phoenix is just so casually flying away at the end. It's just like,
see ya.
It definitely feels like that's why. And when I brought up earlier, like I could be wrong. Like it felt like there was a change in the scheduling because this does just feel like a prelude. That could have been the idea the whole time, but for them because we heard about it like a couple weeks ago that when they announced Resurrection, they were like, okay, some things are gonna be changed around for these last 2 issues. So I don't know. I was worried. I don't know. I'm worried by the end of this if it's gonna feel like a completed arc.
Yeah. I'm curious if the change-ups that just keep popping up are kind of, in the end, going to make it fall a little flatter than we know it.
Maybe could have originally been.
Yeah. Like, we know this is good, you know? We didn't want it to have that, like, you know, like, dot your I's and cross your T's, like, a nice little signature at the end that just, like, ties it all up as, like, the Jean Grey solo we know it is. You know what I mean?
And that would be great, but the Resurrection is probably what is tying this down because to get the complete story, you're going to have to read the Resurrection. This isn't going to be something where you can read issues 1 through 11 and get the whole story. You're going to have to read those 5 issues to get a complete to get a complete wrap up of this arc in the story.
Yeah,
this gives me an interesting like take on wondering if the 2 Jeans together are coming back, and that's what this Resurrection is about the whole time, and we just didn't know. Like what if you didn't read this but you're just so excited about Jean coming back to life, you read that without reading this, like,
which is going to happen across the board.
Yeah, I'm just curious how it'll play in and out because I think they're making really interesting and weird choices about who to put when and where and why. Like, things just don't add up sometimes.
Yeah, repercussions across the titles are not there at all, unfortunately. But maybe one thing I theorize, if they do kill off young Jean, obviously, you know, when we get old Jean running the Team Red, you know, maybe a culmination of this younger Jean and older Jean will come together, have a new outlook, and be able to lead a team to greatness.
Right, but then is Bloodstorm going to be the only female of the blue team? If Jean's dead, are they actually going to kill her out? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Too many questions.
Knows. Too many questions.
We need to hack some secret files and find out what's going on here.
But I think I'll give Dennis Hopeless credit. He's nailed everything leading up to this. I believe it all. He's been able to portray that with young Jean up to this point, because she even says, you know, towards the end, like, you know, I would have been complaining the whole time, but now I'm ready to get this over with. But the crazy twist is the Phoenix Force just wanted to wipe her out.
I did not see that coming. Neither did I, but yet again, that leads to make you think that maybe this Jean is not our Jean. Maybe this is a different Jean. You know, because they make it a point to make that comment, like, cause even Ghost Jean is like, OG Jean is like, well, she's not ready for you. She's not me yet. He's like, yeah, I know she's not you. That's why I want to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not,
So
not to look too far ahead, but it's also made me think about knowing even that next arc in Blue is more in space themed. I feel is this actually like already starting that, like playing into that? Like it doesn't. I don't know, because I swore she was on the cover of the solicits for it. So,
well, we don't have a reference for the timeline of a lot of things going on, but that is a good question. Maybe the space arc in Blue is technically what started off this series, for all we know. Like maybe she came back from space, and that's what she started. Like, I had a vision of the Phoenix.
Yeah,
that would be kind of. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. You thought about that, didn't you? Like, in a way, it would be kind of cool because then it gives us perspective and it puts some things in line. But at the same time, it's like, well, we're already done with this series. That'd have been cool to do before the series started.
Because Blue is
wait and see, but I really don't care to wait and see now.
Yeah, it's I'm so 50-50 because and it's in extreme both ways. Like I feel really good about it and a little annoyed, like in both ways. Just like it just feels like there could be a little more that they could give us to understand. I mean, it could just be this like big reveal that we're not expecting down the line, and we're just like, but they haven't shown that to be the case yet.
At this point, that's what it has to be. Like at this point, when we finally get to it, we need a huge reveal that like makes everything click and snap into place. Like, oh, that makes perfect sense now because of this. If not, it's just going to be one huge like letdown. We might be like, yeah, that's kind of cool, but what that 10% that you gave us, that was cool. But what about the other 90%?
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, yeah, like Ryan said, it still was. I mean, everything is still great about this, but it's like this would have all been way more intense to me if I were just reading Jean,
Yeah.
So I feel like there's choices like that being made. Like, what if people aren't reading the other ones too? But like, more likely than not, if you're reading Jean, why wouldn't you be reading Blue? If you're reading it for like certain reasons and characters, and I don't know.
And if you think about it too, I mean, this is, if I'm correct, this is the last issue before Resurrection starts. So maybe a lot of people are going to be jumping on to this as like their prelude into Resurrection, and maybe they're writing it to play off of that.
I think that people are going to literally just jump into Resurrection. They're going to be like, "Oh, Phoenix Resurrection! I'm getting right into that. I don't care what was going on before that."
I mean, you'll have that percent. It'll be a small percentage. Don't get me wrong, but you'll have those people who at least want to get an idea off of especially after hearing the spoiler. I'm sure everyone it's spread across the world now at this point, so they're probably gonna be like, okay, I want to go see what happens so I can get ready for Resurrection.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then there's us, of course, who we're gonna read it. Even if it wasn't for the show, I would read the series and then read Resurrection. Like I would stick with both of these. I would still read this technically in the order they want me to. So I would go from 10 and then issues 1 through 5 of Resurrection and back into 11 to get an idea of what's going on with Jane and the X-Men and the Phoenix and all of that. Because I'm also, I am avidly anticipating Red. I am avidly anticipating that so much.
Tom Taylor, I'm ready.
Especially because of him, yeah.
I don't, we don't normally pick up solicits too much on the show, but I made it a point to pick up both the solicit and the previous issue that had Red in it. So like that tells you something.
Yeah.
I had to see at least a page or two of Red. Like I can't, and I'm that avid about it, and I was not let down. It looks good.
And going back to the art real quick, did you guys notice the call, not necessarily the callback, but the callback to one of the panels in the beginning where she's let me get to it real quick. She makes a line about like always having her feet fall flat. It's at the beginning where she calls on Pickles. Hey, we got Pickles.
Oh yeah, Pickles came back.
Yeah, Pickles came back. And
are you talking about the keep your footing thing?
Yeah.
Don't let your feet fall flat.
Fall flat, and then when she gets on, she goes head first against the Phoenix. There's another panel of her feet falling flat or never falling flat on the phoenix flame of the bird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
A nice little touch. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did not. That honestly.
That's not what I thought you were going to talk about. I thought you was going to pull up her derp face once she got possessed by the Phoenix.
Yeah, that too. But some of the art still had the motion and the detail, I thought, but just the quality of it. Like, it didn't lose like my anticipation level as I was going through it, but it could enhance it a little bit more, I think, with Victor Ibanez or someone else, not this.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All in all, this was great. It's just we know that there's other aspects that could be present, but this is still great. Like,
I had to read this a few times to see where like I really sat on it. Because the first time
it's
I was
like a bittersweet.
Yeah, first time I was like, I don't know about that. Like, so I read it a second time. I don't, and now talking about it, of course, that's going to change things.
Oh, it always does.
Art too. Speaking of art, like the very first page is amazing. Like I loved opening up to this. Like,
oh yeah,
the
fire.
And them in the bubble. It was so cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Came in swinging.
You guys got anything else on this? You want to wrap it up?
I don't have anything else except the Hope was awesome.
Hope was awesome.
I know I said that before, but Hope was awesome. I've come to realize with this issue, Hope is funnier than Cable.
Yeah, I love Hope.
But that's kind of weird though, because it's like, you know, Cable raised her, but yet and still she still has like, she got a mouth on her.
I've had this dream of like a Hope and Quentin team up, and this.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
making it better.
That would be something.
Not making it better to me.
That would be something.
I think Hope might actually try to kill Quentin.
It would be a great mini. I'm so. Hope kills Quentin.
Anthony, what's going to be your score for Jean Grey number 10?
I mean, all things considered, I'm still going to give it. I'm going to have like a 9.25.
That's oddly specific.
I want to say 9.5, but at the back of
that Rob score.
Yeah. I'm just meeting in the middle from Albuquerque and Ibanez, 9.5, 9.25. Just somewhere in the middle.
Rob said he gave it he would have given it an 8.5, but he said if he would have talked about it more, it probably would have went up, so who knows at this point. Alan, how about you, man?
Wow. That's funny because I'm actually going to give it an 8.5.
Nice.
There was definitely enough in there for me to still enjoy the story. I think that it definitely picks up and continues on from what we've been seeing in Jean. Even with the slight step back in the art, it wasn't horrible. Like, trust me, it could have been a lot worse. And there were still things I did enjoy. Those 3 pages, that was really enough. That one, I want that as a poster. That Phoenix with her burning, I want that as a poster.
Those 3 silent pages were amazing. Like,
yeah, those were amazing.
9.5 for sure. Like, that really got me, actually. I was kind of like, holy shit. Like,
I felt it.
The use of the Phoenix to break up the panels on that page, one of those pages, that was brilliant.
Look at
that was like that was great
too.
There you go. We brought Pickles back. I had Hope. So
no, I was saying if you look at Pickles in the background where Hope's laying on that silent page, he looks so scared.
Oh shit!
I'm sure he is. Pickles is all happy-go-lucky normally, and he was
like
you saw what he did.
The weight of everything.
You saw what he did when what page was it? I think he did it when Jean first went to attack the Phoenix. When he's like, "Yeah." There's one page.
Yeah.
There's a page where somebody did something. Yeah. He said he's like, "Yeah."
Mm-hmm. Cool. I am going to go with a 8.3. I still had it still carried the weight. I thought Dennis Hopeless' script was still able to like have life, even though I wasn't like the biggest fan of the art. But I still have too many questions that I think will never be answered, and we kind of just have to go with it. Unfortunately, I think it would be more fun if we had connective tissue to everything. Especially as readers. I mean, us, we read everything. So, and there's people who read, diehard X-Men fans who read everything, hopefully at least, or unless we're just the crazy ones. Who knows? But 8.3 though for me, and we'll see what happens with this resurrection. It's gonna be something.
That's the best way to put it.
Cool. With that being said, Anthony's going to join us again for our next book and the last book of the evening. And what is that, Danger?
X-Men Blue number 17. Written by Cullen Bunn with art from R.B. Silva, Adriano Di Benedetto, and Rain Barreto with letterer Joe Caramagna.
After having a discussion with the 29-9 team, the past X-Men realized that the future team might be some thieves. They then battle Alchemist guards and realize that the Alchemist company is now run by the classic X-Men team. After regrouping back to HQ, they find out that they were meant to come to this timeline to have their teleporter repaired so that they could actually jump back in time where they end up in the mid-90s and run into the Gen X squad.
So overall, I found myself bored. And I don't know. Once everything started to be explained, as far as them getting, having to travel and their device was tinkered with, there's no. And again, reading Jean Grey this week, we just got done talking about it. I feel there's no stakes or no repercussions, and they're probably just gonna go back to the normal time at some point. I don't know. It just felt like a field trip issue to me. And I don't know. Maybe Magneto may have staged it all, for a test run. I don't know. I found myself very bored with this issue. Alan, how about you?
I don't think that's fair to ask me because I love the world of 2099. I love the X-Men. I love Spider-Man in 2099. So it was fun to see them. These are characters I have not seen for a while. It was interesting to kind of see how things have been, I guess, since the last time that I caught up with the team. Like it was a surprise to me to find out that not only was Alchemax run by a new group of people, it was the classic X-Men. And on top of that, they worked in some stuff from the X-Men history, like it was Xavier Park places where they met the team at, and the main Sentinel robot was called a Onslaught robot. So I found that kind of interesting. Now there were some flubs there in this issue. Primarily for me was with Metalhead. He was depicted two different ways in the original series. And between this issue and the last issue, they can't make up their mind which way they want to depict him, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. But overall, I love it, especially when we get to the end and we see the OG Gen X team. I wish it had been the Gen X team that didn't have those costumes, but it's the Gen X team still.
And see, I think most of the stuff probably just went over my head because I'm not familiar with 2099.
Yes.
So I'm sure for hardcore 2099 fans, this
Boom.
is awesome.
Boom.
But if you're coming in like myself,
Boom.
I'm just okay. I don't know. And don't even get me started on the art. Art's bad. But Anthony, what are some of your overall thoughts, man?
I definitely agree with you about the art. There's something about it that's a little more nondescript. It's a little mushy to me. Certain things just kind of look a little muddled together.
Claustrophobic. Yeah. Everything's too close. And
I mean, I enjoy that a lot of it's action packed, but there's a lot of times where you can tell people just have smoothed over faces, glossy, and they're the color, everything is shiny. And I know that that's part of 2099, the light and everything, but it's
if you remember that last issue though, the cliffhanger, that city looked beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
The art definitely just seems to it could be because it's so action packed and there's so much going on that it was just, it had to be a little less detailed, but it just didn't hit as well to me when it already kind of the promise of this arc felt that it would be addressing where they're from. And I know we're only 2 issues into it, but this feels a little more fillery than I was expecting it to.
Yeah, a lot of padding. I said it was a field trip.
Yeah. And knowing that, it feels like we know they're just going to be jumping around each issue until we get to the end of the arc to actually know what's happening. I mean, it still was fun. It's still cool. I'm all about the 2099. I want them to come to the present day. I want to see more of all of this. But overall, I think that so many other titles this week like really hit it out of the park that this was just like a nice, fun read. It wasn't as exciting as Blue's been for me, but I'm not down on it either.
So, do we think that because this ends with them essentially going to the 90s and meeting the classic Gen X team in their horrible suits, like I said earlier? But do we think that the next jump is going to be like the 80s or something like? Do we know how long this arc is even supposed to be?
I think at least 2 or 3 issues at the least.
Because it feels like what we're going to do is we're going to jump through the history of the X-Men in reverse.
Yeah, I think maybe too, but like even you putting it that way made me think about Mojo, and maybe I enjoyed that the last issue played off of Mojo. Actually, it actually was like a part of something that mattered moving forward.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
But it does kind of feel like we're just running through the same thing in a sense. But
the best of.
I think we'll be sticking with the Gen X team for a while. If you guys remember, during the first issue of this series, they showed us all those flashbacks, and we were actually excited to see that Gen X team.
Yep, that's the first thing I thought about. That little like teaser. It was like the 4 strips. So there was like Mr. X, Gen X. I think there was like the Future Brotherhood was one of them.
Yep, Brotherhood as well. And kind of just keeping on Gen X real quick. Let's just keep in mind as well. At this point, we can only get them where we can get them for now.
Yep.
But yeah, boring. It was kind of a boring issue to the cliffhanger though, unfortunately. And like the art, the detail wasn't there for one. I thought, and some of it didn't make sense when Jimmy was jumping from hoverbike to hoverbike. It was hard to tell if it was the same bike or what he was actually doing.
Yeah, and Angel was like razzing him about it, kind of, but it didn't really. I didn't get like, oh, like what's that? What's happening? Like, why is he so worked up about this? This sounds about right.
In the dialogue bubbles when Jean was talking to Scott when they first land after escaping, and she's doing the telepathic and voice or word bubble, and he's just talking out loud. I found that very confusing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of.
Jean was definitely out of character for me as well. That was another because again going back to my issues with things needing to be widespread. I feel editors should be able to coordinate this. I mean, look at No Surrender. 12 issues weekly, one editor, 3 different titles coming together. If they can do it there, I don't understand why they can't do it here. But yeah, Jean just felt out of place and very more. I just don't see her being so uptight towards Scott right now. She has bigger things to be dealing with, obviously, as we just talked about. Because she might be dead. Definitely not dead.
Could be dead.
A handful of other issues in this played off of her and Jimmy and Cyclops being weird about it, and for her to kind of like flip the script the same exact way and not kind of be like, oh, I get it. Yeah. I mean, also, now that you said her, there are like great highlights in this issue to me. Like,
there are.
Was amazing to me. I loved it. Like, I loved her actually using Storm's powers. I think Iceman looked great. With it being so action-packed, I think it's good that we got to... Like, there are part of, like, the 2099 cast that didn't do as much, really, but they did get, like, a lot of little highlights and spotlights on them. So for what they wanted to put in one issue, I think it worked, but there are, like...
Definitely still some inconsistencies. Like, with the beginning of the issue, we know that Bloodstorm warped there with them, and when you see them all come together in the garage, the parking garage, where's Bloodstorm?
Yeah, and Jimmy aren't. Yeah,
and Jimmy
aren't there, but the 5 are. And then at the end, when they teleport again, Bloodstorm's not there, even though they reference that they'll all get pulled together. And they show Jimmy, but why not Bloodstorm if you're going to show Jimmy, actually?
Since we're like on Bloodstorm, is anybody going to acknowledge the fact that Cyclops officially thinks Bloodstorm is hot.
I'm a huge fan of this idea. I think it's great.
Well, listen, I hate to do this. If I can pull my shirt back out real fast, dust it off and put it on. If you remember, it might have been the second issue after they introduced Bloodstorm, but we saw this. We saw that there was something there in the moment where they were on the rooftop talking about, oh yeah, I see everything in red, and I know what it's like to be alone but have a team. They had that conversation. It was like, yeah, there's a little thing there. Cyclops has a thing for Bloodstorm. Yeah. And it was funny to see it here. And Jean's like, yeah, can you stop thinking that she's hot? At the moment where
it didn't work for me, coming from Jean.
I feel like they have to do it that way.
Yep,
I mean, it's like I don't want them to, but they're gonna. Like, of course, that's gonna be a thing, but whatever. But I love like the Bloodstorm and Cyclops idea. I think that in comparison to what we're used to, it's such a unique, different dynamic for someone like Scott, and especially this Scott. I think it would be a lot more interesting to see that develop and how that plays in for the two of them rather than any kind of red-haired psychic or other psychic or anything.
Well, that's why they have to do it, is because they have to toy with the idea that these two don't really want to be what they're supposed to be, what destiny or fate says that they should be, which is anybody who's read X-Men comics, there are certain things that are standards and keys in the X-Men mythos, and number one is Cyclops and Jean are together. And so the idea is with the younger ones, they don't really want that, and they kind of tease us with, well, they have to have it because of the psychic rapport they have now again. At the same time, they're like, yeah, they have it, but they don't really want to have it because, I mean, Cyclops kind of doesn't really have those kind of feelings all the way for Jean now. He's kind of got him for this new character, Bloodstorm. So it is kind of cool that they're doing that they're toying with that idea that why they still have this connection, he doesn't necessarily want it. He would rather be on it,
right?
I think it's a unique way to play off of the like a little more like rougher revolutionary vibe of Cyclops before he died, instead of like the old school more uptight version. So to have him be younger like he was then, but have this like dynamic about him already.
I thought he had a good outlook as well. It's when they're talking after all the rubble and shit, and I think it was Iceman. He was like, this isn't how we expected it, and Cyclops is like, well, actually, this is what I've been looking forward to the whole time. Like, I knew something was wrong. So there were good character spotlights in here, but still, I thought the issue felt really flat. And going into that scene, actually, which is a perfect segue,
since the moment they got there,
the time travel device was fixed, and the explanation was future. It's the future. Nope. Sorry.
Oh, speaking of, though, I mean, that's
2099.
Such interesting dynamic things in this, because that is definitely frustrating, but also because the future and technology, Beast now has Cerebra's thing that like connects.
You saw that, right?
Yeah, like there's so many unique things about this where it's like that's cool, but that's kind of confusing. Like it's like, again, I'm very 50-50 on certain things about this for some reason, and I'm still super excited about it. It was fun to read, but I just keep, like, as soon as I think of one thing, I'm like, but then this. Like, I can't get over it this week.
I really didn't care for the gentrification card either. I thought that fell very flat for me. Didn't know. Not me personally.
Yeah, you've never read 2099.
See? Exactly.
No, it's funny because they never went as far as to use the word gentrification, but if you read the old issues, that's essentially what it was all the rich industrialists built up these, almost like Dredd, they built up a mega city. They built up these mega cities where everybody with money goes and everybody lives, and then on the outskirts in the wastelands are the poor people. So it's nothing new to the mythos of 2099. They just chose to use a modern word for it now.
On the flip side, from Ryan being a fan of 2099, the theater of pain was really interesting to see again.
Yes.
Just even though for that one panel,
it is just the one panel, the theater of pain. Yes.
Like, oh, I just got a little nervous, but then it's like just the one panel and that's it. Like, they need to take advantage of this $20.99 and make a mini. Like,
what's funny is I've been telling Ryan to read $20.99, and specifically because I think he will enjoy the theater of pain.
Yep, it's a very interesting idea that they put in. I mean, I guess coming full circle, $20.99 is kind of like that to me too. There's just as many cool things as there are kind of like meh things, but it's still exciting, it's still fun, it's still so cool to read. Like, that's what this issue was like to me. So I guess I'm not surprised. I don't know.
I was more surprised that we didn't stay there a little bit longer. I expected one more issue in $20.99.
Same, yeah.
But I was also surprised that when they made the jump that we ended up with the Gen X team, like the classic Gen X team. That came out of nowhere to me. Not complaining.
Right.
I'm glad we got there, but it was a bumpy ride for me. Very, very bumpy ride. Like, I just don't get why they can't have consistent art teams throughout the entire arc.
That really does make it suffer more and more. The further we go, like the further we get, the more and more I'm seeing where it is suffering from that, just in terms of being a reader and like storytelling and taking it in and caring about it. Like it, still really good, but now I'm just more excited for Generation X, and I feel like the $20.99 parts just kind of like swept under the rug and gone by, and I wanted it to be like a thing. Like, I'm so excited about it, and now I just want to go back and find all of the $20.99 and read it all.
It's the same here. I want to dig into my long box and just start reading all the $20.99 that I have.
Maybe that was the point, Maybe they got them.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's why it sucks they didn't stay there like at least another issue, because this would have been a great time for people like Ryan who have never seen $20.99. This would be a great time to let them sit there for a little bit, give them a little quick background on some of the characters, let them know what their powers are. They didn't even get into the whole team's powers. We didn't even see everybody's powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had no connection to this world. One, not being a reader, and within the series, not being able to connect with it in any way or form.
But this should have been the time to do that. This should have been the time to bring someone like you in and be like, okay, here's Mean Street. Mean Street, is a speedster. Something you don't normally see on the X-Men team. We have a speedster here.
Yeah.
Here's the Metalhead. Metalhead can touch any metal and make his body into that metal. He's like a better version of Colossus.
Bloodhawk really just flew around a little.
Yeah, and Bloodhawk, especially in the early series, is one of the most interesting characters because Bloodhawk is an anarchist. He's a revolutionary.
Yeah. Him and Crystalline would. I mean, we did see a decent little chunk of Crystalline, but I feel like it was.
Did you see her? Did she use her power though?
It was like it's one little panel. She's like blocking. I think just blocking some shots for it's like Beast doesn't get hurt or something.
But this is the time they could have had. This could have been an issue with action, and then they could have retreated, and then they could have explained who the X-Men of $20.99 are and what their abilities are.
Like the culmination of my opinion about this would be, we see these things, but even on this one page I'm looking at now, it's like
you can't make it out.
Like there's so much crammed into a smaller panel that the details lost, so you don't really get that like excitement from seeing it for like the first and only time of this arc, like it's just like, I think that's like, okay, cool. Like it's like Mean Street, Crystalline, and La Lunatica. They're like in these little panels fighting and doing cool stuff, but it's just so tiny and nondescript in a sense that there's just not as much like oomph that I was like ready for.
It's funny you said that because like La Lunatica, when she uses her power, she's like, hold up, let me recharge real fast. No reference for what she's doing, how she's recharging, no explanation for what her ability is. Like, this would have been great to just explain this to people. Same thing with Gen X. We're going to get to Gen X, and there's not going to be an actual explanation for everybody's ability. And that's going to suck for me because these are two teams that probably, Ryan, you still with us, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you can vouch for this. These are two teams that I've been talking about since the beginning of our podcasting. Since the very beginning.
2099 and Generation X.
Yes, I have talked about these two groups like forever. So it sucks that here we are at a point where they're using them. My co-host Ryan, who doesn't necessarily, know about these characters outside of me talking about them on the show or even off air, doesn't get a chance to be brought into the fold and see why they're so cool and why I like them so much.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
I guess we just have to. I mean, me and Alan, we're just gonna have to pray that Marvel listens to this and takes our advice and starts a little 2099 title.
Yeah, bring it.
I couldn't wait to see 29, more of 2099 after that last issue, and to get this, it was. Yeah, the series is so inconsistent. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's not for me.
Again, I do think this also suffered from the amount of X titles that came out this week. There was just so much more outstanding things in other places that it just kind of was overshadowed. Like if it were just this and one or two other ones, maybe it would have had a little more impact because it would have been more unique to see, you know what I mean? But it kind of just goes under a few other titles because there's so much this week. Maybe it was just kind of overshadowed in that sense. I don't know.
I think that might be part of it also.
At least for a reader like us, again, reading all of them,
Yep, buddy. Unless you guys got anything else on this. Sorry. I did not like this issue.
I don't think I do. I think fun. Was a little muddled, but still really fun. I don't think I have any other specifics that I thought about. Well, I mean, the only thing we didn't talk about actually would be the Future Sentinel with all of their faces on it. I don't think we talked about that at all.
Yeah, that was Onslaught. I was saying before that it was interesting that they named a bunch of the things after stuff from the X-Men history.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Onslaught Sentinel.
The 3 pages, and I mean that could have been an issue-long epic fight would team up with 2099, and it was 2-3 pages and Bloodstorm tore it up, which was awesome. But I was like, this Future Sentinel should be a story arc,
Yeah. The thing should have been when Nimrod first appeared in the comics. That just should have been
yeah.
Why can't we beat this Sentinel?
I'm surprised that because there's been so much, not necessarily even time travel, but universe hopping happening in this title. I was really expecting someone from 2099 to go with them. I kind of thought that might just.
You know what? Now that you mention it, yeah, because they have just been getting people from different universes at different times. That's what Blue has turned into. Yeah. So yeah, it kind of would have made.
Missed opportunity maybe and muddled nature of certain things about this, but it's I was still excited for it. I had fun reading it, and now I'm pumped for Generation X. I'm not losing any steam on the title, but I'm ready for the next one. Yeah.
What's gonna be your score?
Oh, it's so tough because my excitement is overshadowing my actual criticism, I feel. I'm gonna go with a 7.25.
Okay. Alan?
I am going to sit at a 7.5. I do think there were issues in here. I'm not even gonna lie. Part of my scoring is because I get two teams that I've been dying to see in a new comic book for years. There are some mishaps with the artwork. It seems like they may have gone a little too big for the what the artist could do. But overall, though, it still was kind of fun. I think there was a missed opportunity to show off some of these new characters to people like Ryan or for any other first time reader. But otherwise, yeah, it was enjoyable.
Cool. All right, I am going to go with a 4.5 on my end.
I figured it was going to be somewhere around there.
Unfortunately, then that score is mainly for them paying up on something that we saw previously in the previews for Generation X on issue 1, and Bloodstorm doing something cool and being something unexpected as well.
That was a big highlight for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my highlights. But yeah, 4.5. Sorry.
Is it bad? Is it bad that when Bloodstorm did something, I was like, all right, Bloodstorm's doing something. Now let's get Storm doing something gold.
It was an unavoidable thought.
But cool. Thanks for joining us, Anthony, on these last 2 books. We are going to take a quick break, close out the show with some Fastball Tweets. Welcome back for some Fastball Tweets, and also as we close out episode 27. We made it, Alan. We made it.
We did it.
Luckily, there was no estimated sales. That'll probably be next week, or this would have been a 4-hour podcast, I'm sure. But if you want to send in your Fastball Tweets, you can do so on our Twitter, which is Comics Corner Pod. It's going to be the pinned tweet starting on Wednesday, which is New Comic Book Day, usually around noon or 2 p.m. On New Comic Book Day Eastern Standard Time. And you try to just get them in if you can by 2 p.m. on that Sunday. That way we do have time to read them on air. Or if you...
Rob.
No, Anthony.
Oh, it's Anthony. Does Anthony.
Anthony. But yeah, we'll read them on air on Sunday when we record as well. So we'd love to hear back from everyone. And we have quite a few this week. So let's go ahead and get into it. To Me My X-Men at To Me My _X-Men Rob is the first one. If Marvel's editors could spend 5 minutes coordinating the lives and deaths of their starring characters across multiple series, that'd be great. Yeah, that's the biggest issue this week.
That kind of sounds like what's that foreign word? Continuity.
Snooze.
Yeah.
Sleep on it.
I think that's one of the biggest headaches we often have is we can have a story that's awesome, but a lot of it is taken away when we realize we don't know where it fits in with another book or another series going on, especially when it's like the same characters involved. This week especially. Oh my goodness.
Dying everywhere. People being warped around. Time streams. Danger technically shouldn't have been there if we are, depending on whenever this is happening. Who knows? But yeah, I think we've talked about that enough. That should be the title of the episode, is Rob's tweet. But thank you for that, Rob, as always. And our next one is from Just Zilla at Sean Sadre 2000. Sadre, I feel like I'm always mispronouncing that. Sean Sadre 2000. Damn that Jean Grey ending. Deadpool did kill Cable. I'm more interested in Blue's current arc than Gold's. Also, it's funny, Gabby will be Honey Badger because people suggest that Jimmy, that to be Jimmy's name, I think is what he meant to say. Now when I say Hope, I automatically think of Hope Summers. I hope Cable is still good after the creative change, and I'm sad that Secret Warriors has 2 issues left. And everything pretty much you just said. I mean, as far as Secret Warriors, for me, I don't follow that series enough to. I mean, it sucks that it is ending because we're having fun with it. Don't get me wrong, but we haven't been following it, obviously. And yes, the Jean Grey ending. But what are your thoughts on this?
First of all, there was a lot in there. Let's just start with Jean. Yeah, what an ending for Jean Grey. Obviously, we need to see what the repercussions are going to be with the other issues of Resurrection and of the last issue of Jean Grey series. But we'll see what they do there. Mm-hmm. Like you said, we don't necessarily follow Secret Warriors really. We just did these last couple issues because Magic popped up in the book. But I mean, so far it's actually been pretty good. I've been enjoying Secret Warriors so far. Blue and Gold arc. I don't know.
It's hard to say. Each week, it's just so inconsistent for me. Like, I'll like it, and
Yeah.
then next week, it's just back to, whatever it is at that point.
I think I still like Blue's arc better than Gold's for right now.
Yeah, I think I do.
I'm not really with Space Hitler. I do think that last issue was hilarious. That he's like, okay, give them their friends so they can leave. That was funny to me. That was like the best thing in the issue. But for right now, I'm going to sit with Blue's arc over Gold's.
I'll go back on what I said earlier when we were talking with Anthony. And deep down, it is Blue still. I'm just really down on that this week's issue.
I know it was this week's issue. Just kind of sucked a little bit out of you. It's okay. We all have that issue.
I just need a pat on the back. That's all.
That's it. And some continuity.
And some continuity. Some continuity.
Continuity. What else was in it? Because that was a massive tweet. What else do you have in there?
Hope Cable is still good after the creative change.
I'm sure it will because Hope is in there.
Right.
If we're going to get the Hope that we got in the Jean Grey book, I will be thoroughly satisfied with the next arc of Cable with the new team.
And I like the approach. Like I said during the news segment, I like the approach to having a whole new slate of creators on the new arc. Kind of continue the life, but bring some life into it, even more life. I'm not sure about this current Cable arc. It's teetering right now. It's teetering.
Yeah, it's at the breaking point right now. It's at that point where it could honestly go either way.
Right. But yeah, you got anything else on that, really?
No.
Cool. Thank you as always, for that, Sean. Our next one is from Steve Sellers at Shade Wing. Been busy these days, but I'm catching up on Jean Grey. This book may be a bridge into Phoenix Resurrection, but it is an interesting setup, and it really is. It's a great setup, I think, to mold it into what Resurrection could and what it will be, and what it's going to spin out of after that. Well, we know Red, obviously, but there's still so much to find out. Like how is this? What is the science behind this? Like there are answers that need to be explained, and hopefully it's a present, a nice little present to us, nice and wrapped up.
Definitely agree with that. I'm just thinking, like, you said this may be this is a bridge into Resurrection. There's no maybe, could be, possibly, might be. This is definitely was a bridge into there. I think that unlike another X series we did recently where they had a bridge into a whole nother book, they handled bridging this a little bit better. I don't remember. Was it always supposed to be 5 issues of the Resurrection?
I believe so. 5.
Okay.
I believe, it's 5. Yep.
Okay. All right. But it feels like this was always a bridge. I know for me, I was more hoping that they would at least use the Jean Grey arc, the Jean Grey series, to tell the story they wanted to tell.
First, before going into it.
Yeah, but it seemed from the beginning of the series, the story they wanted to tell was the Phoenix coming for young Jean, and young Jean not wanting to be the host of the Phoenix. And I think that they're pretty much, they've told that story this whole entire time.
Yeah.
It just happens that this also is going to tie into the Resurrection arc.
And it's funny, this is the penultimate issue, because this could have been the last issue. So it is a nice little treat that we are getting one more to see how this truly wraps up. Because I have to look at the scheduling, because if I don't think Resurrection's bi-weekly. I would imagine it's monthly, but if...
No, not if you saw when it said that 11 of Jean is supposed to come out, because isn't issue 11 of Jean supposed to come after Resurrection?
That's what I thought. So maybe it's like if it's weekly, that's crazy. I'm worried.
I think that it is weekly, and that's just because when I saw that solicit for the release, it only makes sense that for them to release the last issue of Jean when they want to, they have to release Resurrection weekly.
Yeah, that's gonna be wild. At least, Matthew Rosenberg's on it. He's currently doing Secret Warrior, so I trust in him, at least. So yeah, we'll see. That's scary at the same time, though. With it, it could not. If it's not good, it won't be his fault. it wouldn't necessarily be his fault. I think it would be more on Marvel for having to crank out the release like that. I mean, I think that would hurt him unless he has a strong outline for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would just hope that this is mapped out far enough in advance to where they can easily do that weekly scheduling and it not suffer.
Because we'll see how No Surrender plays out as well.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. You got anything else on that though?
Nope.
Cool. Thanks, Steve. And our next one is Marvelman616 at Marvelman616, and I gotta say, he's doing it right with this fastball. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
All right. X-Men Blue number 17 was awesome. I really want an X-Men 2099 mini based on this plot line. Also glad to see Bloodstorm get more page time. 10 out of 10. So let's go ahead and break that one down because he gives us some reviews and some scores. So I like this. I
know. Okay, let's just break down the Bloodstorm finally doing something. Yes, it is amazing that we have a Storm character in a X-book doing something finally besides sitting on the sideline, throwing a couple of lines, and get knocked out.
Yeah.
Or I was about to say, or flying the ship, warming the jet up.
Warming the jet
up. It was good to see this, and especially with Bloodstorm, since like we've had her for a few issues now, and she hasn't actually used the Storm powers yet. She's pretty much engaged in fisticuffs. That's what she's done.
That's why I think it was so powerful to turn the page and see that happen.
Oh yeah,
definitely the highlight for me.
Definitely, like she unleashed a vicious like thunderbolt, like Thor style.
Yeah.
So that was great. So I think that was definitely correct for him to say, like, you know, Bloodstorm doing something. Yay.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
Oh no,
go right ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say this mini. I think anybody who's listened to the show long enough knows that I'm totally down with the mini. It could be based off of this arc. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but I do kind of like the idea if they base it off of a new legacy virus in the future. And it seems like, which is something we didn't talk about.
You're right. Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, we did gloss over that.
But it seems kind of like this legacy virus, anybody can catch it, because they were saying like even the rich people have it, and there's not enough medicine floating around to actually, help everybody. Mm-hmm. So even the rich people are hurting for the medicine to keep them from dying from this new legacy virus, which, had we talked about during the review, could have been a whole nother can of worms, because it's like, okay, what if one of the X-Men caught the legacy virus while they were there? But as far as 2099, it would be interesting to see a mini with that as the plot, is them trying to find a cure to this new legacy virus and find out how it came about. That could have been very interesting.
Right, and that's what I was just about to go into the mini-based line. When I first read this, I said, hell no, after reading this issue. But the more I thought about it, yes, I will take a mini based on this so I can get more insight into 2099 without having to necessarily go back and read it and get something, not necessarily, it'd be a legacy arc because they're dealing with the legacy virus, no pun intended. Dealing with the new legacy virus, so it could be interesting. But yeah, at first I was like, nope, hell no, I don't want this. And I'm glad this worked. He gave it a 10 out of 10. That's crazy.
That was a bold one right there.
That's a very bold one. But no, all respect to you as well, Marvel Man. I'm glad it worked for you. I'm definitely glad it did. But next we have All New Wolverine number 28 was perfect. Funny, great art, and the Orphans of X are a really interesting and terrifying group. 10 out of 10. Boom. Boom, boom. Like we said during our review, we would have given this a 10 out of 10, but we can't yet. We can't.
No, we have to reserve our 10s. Like if it's something that's an arc, we have to hold those 10s back. Now if it was something that was like a single standalone issue, we can give those out all day. Yeah. If it's good enough, we can give that out. But for something that's an ongoing arc, we gotta wait.
Gotta wait. But yeah, I mean, we essentially echo everything you just said about this. Yeah. So, moving on to Weapon X number 12 was 10,000 times better than what it has been. But that being said, it's not great. Art, okay plot, 6 out of 10.
Okay, I just want to say something. All right, since when are our fans reviewing these books.
I like it. That's what I'm saying. He's doing it
I
right.
like it too.
He's doing it
I
right.
like it. I like it too. I like the fact that we're actually getting that kind of feedback now. They feel comfortable enough to tell us what they're ranking it out of 10. That is great and awesome. With that being said, what was he? He said 6 out of 10. Is that what he said?
6 out of 10. Yep.
6 out of 10. That is very respectable. Definitely better for the most part than what we were getting. If you didn't enjoy Weapon H, or if you didn't enjoy the length that they took with the setting the Weapon H up and all that, then definitely this is a step in the right direction. I think we talked about the fact that this looks like a step in the right direction, and that hopefully we get something even better out of the whole nuke thing. I mean, we're not necessarily all the way fans of it, but yeah, and I definitely agree with the art. I think the art was actually better earlier in the series than where we're sitting right now with the art.
Really? Oh, I'm totally opposite.
Oh, I don't mean by much, but
yeah, and 10,000 times better. I'm not sure about that just yet. It like I said, like we said during our review and discussion, it's a step in the right direction. Very small step for us right now, coming off of the 11 issues of Weapon H, which was completely pointless. And let's never talk about that again. Never.
Talk about what?
Exactly. And his last one, Cable number 152, was good. I love this team, and it's so interesting that they're all grabbed from different points of time. Just wish I cared more about externals. I also really enjoyed Longshot's referencing his time in the Exiles as well. 7 out of 10. Boom.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I do love the team still. I think and going off of I wish I cared more about the externals as well. I think that's kind of what brought me down on my score and my overall discussion when we were doing that. I wasn't having too much fun reviewing that book, unfortunately. But yeah, it's still better than Blue this week. So yeah, I think we still gave it because we recorded that Friday. I can't remember our scores, but I think we were right around a 7, I believe.
I think it was somewhere around there. Yeah. I think we both because neither one of us are super familiar with the externals, and
some stuff went over our heads.
Yeah, kind of echoing what he said. Like, wish you did care about them so that it would mean more. Because I believe I made the exact comment that if you're somebody who read the original run that had the externals in it and was a fan, that issue was definitely for you. That was for you to be like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. They brought back Gideon, but. Yeah, I don't know. The team is good. We still do like the team, and I think the key part about the team for us in the beginning was the fact that these are all characters from different timelines, different points in time. So
let's not forget about that huge panel mistake. Oh boy.
Oh, are you talking about the one with X-23? I mean Armor 23. I guess.
My head's about to explode. But we'll see what happens with Cable. We'll see what happens, though. But cool. Thank you for that, Marvelman616. Doing it right.
Speaking of which, great name, too.
Boom. And our next one is, I hope I pronounced this right, Kai Young at KI44NC. I read Jean Grey. Wow. The Phoenix killed her once again. Even as a child, she can't get a break. Damn right. Damn right. She is... destined for fiery returns.
And fiery deaths.
And fiery deaths, unfortunately. But yeah, what more can you say about that Fastball?
No, he summed it up perfectly. You're right. Like Jean doesn't matter if old, young, she can't get a break when it comes to the Phoenix.
Yeah, and she even said at the beginning of the series, I know I have to face this. So it's coming. Just bring it on. And it worked in the end, but like I said, we still have problems with the continuity snooze.
Yeah.
And our last one is, and thank you for that, Kai Young. Our last one is Daily X-Men Facts at Daily X-Men Facts. Jean was wild. The silent pages genuinely rocked me. I was really putting faith in young Jean coming through. But all new Wolverine stole the show. Brilliantly done. Touching, hilarious, trippy, very trippy. Suspenseful, deep, and visually stunning as expected. Needed 29 mini stat. Such cool characters. Bloodstorm turned up and loved it. That's funny. Turned up and loved it. Cable is my favorite current team of mutants, and the story is unfolding in a very intriguing way. P.S. Wish Ibanez was on this week's Jean. Yeah.
Mm.
You and me both, Anthony. You and me both. But wow, he gave us a mouthful, huh?
Yes.
Where do we go first? Gene was wild. Yeah, we talked about that with him. All Wolverine was our pick of the. Is our pick of the week.
That's our pick of the week.
Yeah.
We're picking books for the week, X books for the week. The X-Men Monday team is picking All New Wolverine. That was just amazing for everything he named. Everything he named is the reason why it was so amazing. Art, the pacing, the dialogue, the trippiness. There was action in it. There was some kind of suspenseful moments in it. There was some scary moments in it. There was some kind of touching moments in it, funny moment. It had everything.
Mm-hmm. And we just touched on the 29 mini cool characters. Bloodstorm definitely turned up, and favorite current team of mutants is is Cable for him. I think I would agree right now with that as well. I can't until we see what happens with the X-Men Red. That might end up being my new favorite team because we got some heavy hitters on there.
Oh yes,
cannot wait for that. You got anything else on that, really?
No, I believe he summed up so much in there, and it echoed so much of what we've already said about all of those books.
For sure. And thank you, everyone who sent in your Fastball tweets this week. We love hearing back from everyone and your thoughts. Some of you, probably disagree with us and probably agree with us. That's why we love doing this, because we love talking with everyone. But cool. Well, that's the end of the show. Episode 27. Next week is going to be a special episode for everyone, because we'll get a little present for you. We have a present. Nothing crazy, but you'll see. What else? Next week, though, we have some cool books coming, I think, for the most part. We have Deadpool versus Old Man Logan, number 3 of 5. We're almost done with that whole thing. I think the only reason we're sticking around is to see, what is her name? Did they give her a name? I know they gave her a name, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
They did. I can't remember either. The new Jubilee.
The new...
yes. The Nubilee.
Nubilee. The Omega. The impossible Omega. New Omega level mutant.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. Generation X number 85.
Yes!
We are stoked for that as always. Yeah, I wish... Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, we'll talk... Yeah.
Yeah, I already know.
All right. Next is Old Man Logan, number 32, continuing the Silver Samurai. Not Silver Samurai, Red Samurai. Scarlet.
The Scarlet Samurai, yes.
Scarlet, we're definitely digging that. X-Men Gold, number 18. We'll see what happens with that.
Space Hitler.
Hopefully Armor does something. Hopefully Storm does something. We'll see what happens. And X-Men Grand Design number 1 of 2 does come out next week. We won't be discussing it on the episode, but we are going to wait for it to wrap up, both issues to wrap up, and we're going to do an overall review discussion on that once it all wraps up. So stay tuned for that. We'll definitely, I wonder what the page count is on that. Hopefully I can try to get that in next week before we get on, just to give like a quick 1-sentence thought bubble on it. That's all. And I think next week we're also going to have estimated sales. We thought they would be dropping this week. Thank God they didn't, because that would have been a lot more work, a lot more editing on my part.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's everything next week that we have going on. I do want to plug real quick, Uncanny Avengers number 30, the final issue, before going into No Surrender, comes out on this new comic book day, Wednesday. I'm going to be getting together with some guests to do that for the final issue, going into No Surrender. So yeah, definitely keep your eyes peeled for that if you're reading Uncanny Avengers and you want to see our thoughts on it. And you can also go back. We've done we reviewed 27, 28, and 29, I believe, so far. So yeah, but don't worry though. Just because that series is ending, Uncanny Sessions will still be around, and we have some announcements coming soon, don't we, Alan?
Oh yes.
Yes, we do. January 1st, we'll have some announcements. And another quick plug: a month from today, Retcon X Volume 2 will be dropping January 19th. So if you love the music that's in the intro and outro, Make sure you go download his stuff when it comes out, or if you haven't downloaded Resurrection Volume 1, go get that right now for free. But cool, you got anything else on before we get out of here?
No, just stay tuned. Big stuff coming very soon.